Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? 4.5 hours of edging till this thing starts. How's the weekend going? It's going all right. I woke up early today. I was shit posting on Twitter, and then now we're here, all of us together for Sunday. Good morning, Jason. How you doing, man? Let me see. You're on the big screen, and Mrs. Carl is watching. Good luck. Hello, Mrs. Carl. Sundays used to be pretty lame. Whoa, hold on. Oh, you mean before this? Okay. Yeah. All right. Where do we want to start? We want to do the usual. We'll cover some meme shit and ongoing trades and then Mag 7 before the fresh and the dork show up. Memes first. All right, fine. Uh we could start with GME, I guess. I gotta figure out what the fuck is going on with that. Tips are fucked up on this for some reason. Maybe they changed ETF allocations around or something. That wouldn't be it. Hmm. Anyway, still pretty liquid, still being shorted. I don't think we have any major FTDs coming up on this anytime soon. Some higher fail to volume ratios going into the end of, well, the covering days going into the end of Feb, beginning of March. So but nothing serious. ETF FTDs, decently high on 229 and 3-1. XRT is still not on reg show though. I don't think we see anything out of GME maybe till earnings, which I think are not scheduled yet, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I could take a look at Snow. I'll cover whatever else after I cover these, and then I can take a look at that. So yeah, probably just gonna continue to be shorted. I don't see any reason for anything to change around. Borrow rates pretty uninteresting. So no uptick there. Yep. Yeah, maybe start to head below 1350. For the last few weeks, Jimmy's been hung up at, I think it's just been just above delta neutral. Yeah. Well, it's kind of chopped back and forth between the two, I guess. Below and under delta neutral, but it stayed above gamma neutral. Right now, delta neutral's kind of falling off. Gamma's still positive. and call volume's picking up a little bit into the end of the month. So yeah, it might get like another little rally for the ETF FTD period. But after that, I don't see any reason for it not to come back down again. So possibly something like we had at the beginning of this month's ETF FTD period. We had like a $2 move to the upside, something like that. 10 to 12 reasonable price to get back into GME. I would say if it goes under delta neutral substantially, which it hasn't yet. Delta neutral's at 1306 right now. But I would say, yeah, 13 to 1250 would maybe be a interesting price to get options, or I mean, if you really want to buy shares on it. Sold puts are pretty low. No changes there. Charm's been staying pretty negative, and put interest is picking up pretty steadily. So yeah, I would say it's probably got at least another dollar to the downside of range, maybe more. Usually we hit a lower low in each rotation. So I think that would put us around, oh, maybe as low as like 1150 or 1050 at the lowest point. It probably won't last long, but it could touch that. Upstart, still pretty liquid, still getting shorted very heavily. I don't really think anything is going to turn around with Upstart until there's a significant shift in the macro narrative. Right now, I mean, it appears the Fed is going to be higher for longer. Obviously, that forces Upstart to hold more and more loans on their books, and kind of kills the liquidity and selling those loans off to other, especially because they're subprime. Selling them off to other lenders is going to be pretty difficult. Um, with that in mind, this can probably go down at least to like the $20 level. I think we have a little bit of support. I think we have a little bit of support around 1680 and 2359. Which should be right about here, actually. Hold up. So we should have a little bit of support here. And then not a lot till we get down into that like $16 range. That'll probably change by the time it gets there, but I would say a fall to 2050 is definitely looks like it's in the cards. Um yeah. Yeah, so probably just gonna continue down. The last time it was kind of in this position, it just bled down for a few months, during the tighter condition cycling, and so we might just kind of see a continuation of that. But I would probably start looking at CSPs around the $20 mark. Um, Maybe looking to get into a position a little lower than that. And then we'll just wait for liquidity to tighten up. Oop, sorry. Fubo looks like it's dropped back to 175 again. We'll see if it forms a double bottom here on a bounce. I know they have earnings, I believe, this week, right? Yeah, this Friday morning. So this might start to stabilize as earnings IV picks up, or at least hopefully it does. This will be their fourth consecutive earnings, with the potential to beat, if they do beat it. I think we can easily see 250 or $3 again, maybe higher depending on how their subscriber levels look. Obviously, that's going to be Hmm. Well, you're gonna have to take the Disney lawsuit and everything into consideration as well. But 4 consecutive quarters of achieving their goals towards positive EBIT should be viewed favorably by the market, regardless of the antitrust suit or potential future competition. So obviously, they may not be. Maybe that's why they filed the lawsuit. So there is always, that binary risk that comes alongside earnings. But there it is. Top, still nothing really going on here. It started to stabilize. I don't know if there's a lot of liquidity left to short it, but I don't think we're going to hear anything, at least in regards to their business plan or the reports on their financials till early March. So we'll probably just wait for that. Obviously, if those are positive, I could see a lot of price improvement. If they're negative or it looks like they're going out of business, the price will probably tank. Yeah, so Beyond's in a tight situation. It is starting to see a little bit of covering. I believe it's now on day 6 of Reg Show, or day 7. Sorry, day 7 of being on Reg Show. Still 5 more days till forced settlement, but it has been seeing a decent amount of covering. Now, this covering could very well just be due to earnings coming up. And then, if earnings misses, they could short it again. It hasn't been on Reg Show long enough for forced covering. So there's probably still a little bit of time to wait before taking an entry. And that would, but that narrow is going to get, that window is going to get narrower if Russell keeps pressuring it, right? So a lot of the reason this is going up right now is that Russell's been climbing for like the last 3 days, 4 days straight now, and that index pressure on the ETFs is pushing a little bit more covering than we would normally see in this period of the cycle. Normally, as soon as it kind of gets on Reg Show, they short the shit out of it even more, uh, but it's probably a little difficult to short the ETFs because they're so overcrowded right now. So. Um, but we are seeing a little bit of covering. It could continue. I believe delta neutral is getting kind of close. Um, yeah, delta neutral is at about $9 right now. Gamma at 10. Um, but options interest is still pretty bearish. Dealer Vegas just flipped negative on Friday. That probably won't last. Gamma and Delta are still both negative on the dealer exposures. Um, Although we should not see it go any lower than 661. Yep. So yeah, I think it's maybe got a little chance to run some more before earnings, but I don't expect earnings to be very good. They're expected to miss. I think they're expected to miss pretty much in line with the prior quarter. I don't see any reason for them to have made any money. So far, I'm pretty sure they're just burning tons and tons of cash. So hopefully the earnings doesn't come with any kind of share offering that would provide liquidity, because we are kind of close to vol shorts closing up shop, but just not there yet. So I think the best case scenario here is earnings misses. We get a decent short back to like 660, 675, and that sets up an opportunity to get in for the forced covering period on Reg Show. And that could probably see us test, gamma neutral, maybe gamma max. good PT to start opening long share positions in Upstart. I'm willing to get blocks of 100 shares at 20, but obviously 1510 would be great. I will say that this earnings, on the back of the prior earnings, which wasn't so great either, probably presents a better opportunity for us to see a drop below 20. But I could see 20 being a very strong psychological support, maybe strong enough that we just don't drop any further. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if the Fed continues its current path or we see rate hikes, then, you know, especially with inflation rising, if we see rate hikes, then we could really see Upstart's price get pummeled. Because right now we have a lot of people selling, but we don't have a lot of shorts. Shorts, you know, probably not very attracted to Upstart given its high volatility, but eventually, if the case for them gets bad enough, the shorts are going to pile in, and that's where we would see, you know, an extra like $3 to $5, like 17, maybe 15, 13. But they're not there yet, so you have to wait that out, and you'll have to see what happens with the Fed and with inflation. My expectation is that we're going to see inflation continue to climb. I think the problems in the Red Sea are very understated and ongoing. They have not stopped, right? So there's still a lot of shipping traffic being rerouted. It's being rerouted at higher rates, and that inflation's getting passed forward. Um, we're already seeing that show up in reports a month earlier than it really should be. And so yeah, that would be bad for Upstart moving forward. Why are people trying to go long Upstart? Because they're afraid of missing out. It's called FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. I'm short Upstart right now. I have 25/20 debit spreads that I'm just sitting on for April. But yeah, I mean, I want to go long Upstart at the bottom too. It's not I don't fault them that, but yeah, it's probably a little early. How much they on puts would you want to target sub 20 on Upstart? Kind of like I said, I don't know, 60 to 90 days, probably, depending on how the inflation situation develops, right? I know, and we'll probably bring this up again later, but I'm pretty sure I was looking over at Cleveland's inflation nowcast, and they're projecting CPI 4.2, core CPI 0.32 month over month for Feb, which is an annualized rate of like almost 5% for CPI. So inflation's, or at least inflation projections right now are getting a lot worse. Well, remember what happened last time, Poopy Pants? When I was like, man, Upstart looks really attractive. I'm going to start selling CSPs on it while it's at $20. And then it dropped to 12. And I just kept buying it. And then people were like, fuck this shit. I'm selling this bag of crap. I hate you, Greg. And then it went to $80. They don't want to miss that again. It was dope. I sold at $40 and it was dope. Is a run like that on Upstart a thing of the past now? No, I don't think so. I think if financial conditions favor Upstart, it can. I mean, look what fucking happened with like one positive Fed meeting, right? We went from like 20 and tested 50. That was just like one slightly better FOMC meeting before the sluice report even came out, right? And then the sluice report came out and it was like, no, intrabank credit conditions are hot garbage. And then we started to finally fail, right? And even not until like it was guaranteed that the Fed was going to wasn't going to cut rates by March did we even see any downside. So you guys aren't the only ones chomping at the bit to go long Upstart, right? They make a lot of money. They're pretty good at making it too. So their margins are phenomenal and their overheads basically nothing. They have a tiny float and they're super volatile. So it's got all the right ingredients to run again. Provided they don't go out of business in an extended illiquid credit market. But I mean, I feel like they have enough capital that would take probably a few years. And they've got the AI hype train going for them too. Even though they really just use machine learning. Hedging occurs in futures, and futures are, like each futures contract is like one of the underlying, right? It's one of each underlying component of SPX. So if you're going long a shitload of zero DTs on SPX, the MM is going to hedge that with futures, and then futures are going to hedge that with the underlying, right? That delta hedge pass through is going to eventually hit, the actual components of the index. This is live. What's up, man? Could you explain the mechanics behind? Okay, lucid. Ugh, gross. All right, so that's beyond out of the way. I know somebody asked me to take a look at BTU. BTU seems fine to me. China's still kind of in a questionable spot. I know we had a big rate cut on the 5-year lending facility last week, and that's caused a little bit of turmoil and a little bit more speculation on China, in the hopes that they're really gonna do the thing everybody wants them to do, which is generate a lot of debt and pull their economy out of its slump. They're probably going to do that in the long run. I don't see any reason for them not to. They've generally followed pretty modern monetary policy up until this point, but it's understandable that they don't want to increase their debt to GDP more than it already is. However, there is enough speculation going on that China will turn things around. That obviously BTU is seeing some tailwinds from that. It seems still pretty stable in its uptrend channel that it's been in since last year. You know, I sell CSPs at the bottom, I sell CCs at the top. It's worked out pretty well for a little over a year now, but eventually, either China will fail to accomplish an economic turnaround, or they will accomplish an economic turnaround, and then we will probably see demand on coal rise on the positive outcome. See, all that whining gives so much extra oomph to your gloating later. It's yeah, but the gloat is seconds and the whining is months. right? So that's what's difficult. You playing Vega long to hedge your puts? Gross. No, I mean Upstart's perfectly liquid. I don't see any reason for IV to increase right now. IV is generally low when it's being shorted. After a $104, 28.5% drop on earnings this week, I bought a small position in PANW at 270. Any thoughts? I know some of the cyber attacks last week saw CrowdStrike rip right back up. Um, I mean, a lot of the reason they dropped was on their forward guidance, but I think it's probably reasonable that we're going to see some recovery here. CrowdStrike suffered a similar fate around the same or alongside their earnings, right? Although CrowdStrike's recovering a little faster, that might actually be the better long since it only dropped in sympathy to PANW and assumptions that the entire sector is going to see reduced forward guidance, but they may not, right? And CrowdStrike's proven time and time again that they make a shitload of money. So this may actually recover a little faster. Back to those I don't know, like 330 levels. All right, noted, Jen. Who's opening an office in the Middle West? All right. Anyway, let's do. Oh wait, somebody else had another stack that they wanted me to look at. I think it was Nitu. Where did it go? Meme and Mag 7. If you look at Snow. Snow also appears to have recovered pretty well. Closing price Friday was 229.34. All right, so Snow's still in a little bit of a negative gamma environment. Um, and a decent amount of delta has dropped off over the last week, although that's recovering. Let me see something here. Yeah, Friday morning may have been like the local top on this. I guess we'll have to see how options interest shakes out going into this week because positioning's neutral to bearish here. And it looks like it topped out on its test of like 234. So I would wait to see if the failure there sees a continuation. If it does, this may not be a very good entry. What level would be best to test that? Maybe like 225. Looks like 225 is a pretty important support here. So I would say if this continues to fail into Monday and loses 225, it's probably going to revert back down. All of these have earnings coming up pretty soon. CrowdStrike, Snow. I think a lot of like packaged software and software services are gonna have earnings over like the next week and a half. Can we see the Thomas the Tank Engines so we know which emotions you struggle with? I'm not trading today, so I didn't bring them, but I'll bring some tomorrow. I just got here. Did you talk about Beyond yet? Yeah. If you think it might run this week or next, so it's really illiquid, but there's no forced covering yet. I think a lot of the upside that we're seeing is just pressure on IWM, and it's not directly covering on Beyond, right? It's getting a little bit of covering, but nothing like they're trying to clear out short positions. It's not like big volumetric covering. It's just covering as they need to as the underlying indexes rise. Um, I do know that Russell kind of ended the week still in a pretty bullish range. I think just below its like gamma flip point. So Russell's still negative gamma. If Russell fails here though, and we get like another big downside move in Russell over the next couple of weeks, that should open up the perfect opportunity for Beyond shorts to push it back towards that like 660 level. So I think it's still a little early. There's no forced covering from Reg Show yet. We won't see that for another, I think, 5 more days, 5 more trading days. So not this week, but going into the next week, and that's also right around the period where we have ETF FTDs. So I'm gonna look for a pullback this week, ideally, hopefully alongside earnings, and then I'm gonna target that pullback to get an entry out through ETF FTDs and into the reg share covering period. So I'll probably get like 30 to 45 days of theta on my positions, and I'll just target like delta neutral and gamma neutral. I'll post them. I'll try to remember to post them in the fake meat channel every day so you guys have an idea of where those levels are. But yeah, that's probably where my calls are going to target. And then if we hit, gamma max, awesome. I mean, so gold will benefit from any currency issues or currency risk. Oil's tricky, right? We're producing a ton of it, but there's a lot of conflict and geopolitical risk, right? I think part of that's being baked in as risk premium. Oil probably shouldn't be trading at inflationary levels right now because we are producing so much of it. But things in the Middle East and the Red Sea don't appear like they're going to be resolving anytime soon, and they're only kind of slightly escalating. And obviously, that's putting some risk premium into oil. Zom will benefit from increased oil prices. I think the biggest risk with oil right now is that we may be kind of close to a recession. So far, the labor market's staying really strong. But sales growth and GDP growth are expected to slow dramatically. We have recessions in almost every other major economy or financial crises, right? And that's going to drop. That should have already dropped the demand on oil pretty significantly, and yet we still see oil prices quite high. So yeah, I think there's a lot of geopolitical risk baked in. There's massive oil short positions right now that obviously are at risk of a squeeze should anything escalate in the Mideast. Um, so yeah, oil's pretty risky. I'm not sure how much exposure I'm going to maintain to it. Or maintain on it. I have been trimming a lot of my oil longs. As far as gold though, I mean, I think gold is a really good currency hedge right now. Obviously, we saw that big round of central bank buying. We've got the yen and the yuan kind of right on the brink of collapse, right? And they're doing everything they can in the FX markets to stabilize against the dollar. And we're seeing the effect of that really strongly in the long end of the yield curve, which should be going up and has stayed pretty pretty flat given how the economic data has been coming in. Like we should really be back at like 105 on Dixie with the 10-year yield pushing above 4.5% right now, and we're not because of that currency risk, right? So everyone wants the dollar when their currencies are undervalued. How high could gold go? I mean, I probably wouldn't target anything outside of its previous high just because there's still probably so many sellers, right? Give me 1 second. So I think the prior high like on gold futures was 64.078. Yeah, oh, that's the wrong exchange. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, 2152. I mean, here's the issue with gold. The biggest one I see, as far as achieving higher price targets, is that there have been a lot of sellers right around this range, right? I mean, so many bag holders. So we've really got to break through that wall of sellers, and this might be the opportunity to do it, right? We sold off pretty hard here and here, but this one not so much, right? This most recent sell off, and we've sold off even less since the high in I think that was October, right? I guess it was November. Was that November? That was December. The beginning of December. When we got the like 251 test overnight and then it crashed. But I think if we get past that sell off, right? And we just get like a nice push in price improvement, we could probably see gold go to like 2600 or 3000, especially if we got a recession, right? And so that would be the natural hedge to currency exposure or oil. However, if it doesn't run, right, if we don't get any unexpected currency risk or credit event, right, then we just see it sit here at like 2050, right? This is just like the new level. I'm not particularly worried about the downside on gold right now. So decent hedge to oil, I think. Is Peter Schiff in the Discord? I mean, what the hell else are you gonna hedge currency with? You can't use Bitcoin. Central banks aren't gonna use Bitcoin. And central bank gold holdings have exploded over the last like 3 months. So I mean they're getting on top of it. Why not make some money off the boomers? you look at Run and explain what they're doing with convertible notes? I don't know. What are they doing with convertible notes? I gotta look at the filing. Give me a second. Let's see. This will be senior unsecured obligations, sunrun and accrued interest payable semi-annually in arrears, March 1st, September 1st of each year. They're going to use a portion of the proceeds to repurchase the 0% convertible senior notes due 2026. Currently, with the president offering privately negotiated transactions affected with or through one of the initial purchases of the notes or its affiliate. The remainder of the notes proceeds from offering to repay outstanding debt and other general corporate purpose, which may include working capital, capital expenditures, potential acquisitions, future transactions. However, it's not designating any specific uses, has no definitive agreements with respect to any material acquisition or strategic transactions. So it looks like they're doing a $475 million private offering of convertible senior notes. And they're using that money to buy back a prior offering of 2026 notes. So just a little bit of debt restructuring. I mean, I don't see anything special with it or odd. It seems like they have debt that they need to restructure. Yeah, I mean they're basically rolling their debt forward because they're using the proceeds of the offering to buy back the 2026 notes, and then they're probably gonna let they're gonna let whoever's holding those notes unwind and convert the 2026 notes to common stock. I'm short Nikkei to hedge currency. Okay. I mean, that's all right. Here's the problem with short Nikkei to hedge currency. You're hedging the yen going up, right? Um which, isn't as broad of a hedge as gold again on currency. Yeah, gold would hedge yen continuing down. It would also hedge yen going up. Because if yen continues to decline, BOJ is probably going to buy even more gold than they did the last time. And the Fed's going to pick up more gold too. And I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen gold pull back substantially at all, is the central bank interest is so high. About 2,500-ish is the ceiling. I mean, that might be where it settles. I think reasonably against reserves, that's probably not a bad price for things to stabilize, but I mean, you figure if gold runs much higher above its current levels, it's going to be on the back of speculation, and that could carry it quite a lot higher before it settles, right? If the yen goes lower, I'm going to book a vacation to Japan. What are your favorite ways to play gold? GLD or Barrick? I actually like Barrick a lot. Barrick is just the ticker gold. They're a miner, but they have pretty significant reserves on hand at any given time, and they tend to track spot price really well, while being moderately cheap. But also futures, gold futures are pretty fun because you get access to 24-hour trading on them, which can be really advantageous. It definitely was very important when it hit 252 or 2152 to be in a or to have gold exposure that can be traded 24/7. And that's not something you're going to get with an ETF or an equity. As far as physical gold, I have no desire to ever own it. I didn't see what SMCI is doing with convertible bonds. Do you want to tell me, or do I need to go look up more SEC filings? Because that sounds fucking terrible. All right, let me try to cover a bit of the Mag 7. At least we could get a feel for what the options market's looking like across most of them. Nvidia is going to probably be a bit of an outlier, but Apple is actually looking pretty bearish still. I'd mentioned that I last week that I was, continuing to sell like 180, 180, 250, and 180, 250, 185. That doesn't look like a 5. Uh, Bear call spreads on this. I've still been selling them. Um, I've got about 25 of each contract open now. These are all for March 15th. I still think this is a solid position. I think Apple's going to continue to kind of just drip down. It very much looks like it's going to. Call interest hasn't picked up substantially. Um, CSP interest seems to be pretty stable on the 180 strike. Um, or put interest seems pretty stable on the 180 strike, but it's not really growing. It's not receding. Gamma is still flat. Dealer delta is still negative. Um, we rejected on the upside level Thursday, Friday, and a failure of delta neutral at 180.50 could see it move down to test like 175. So yeah, I still think Apple looks pretty weak and generally takes a really long time for significant amounts of call interest to pick up on it. It's got a very slow moving options chain. So I would say that the trend is pretty strong to just continue down. Not very interesting, but there's some theta to sell on it, right? Um, Below 175, probably not likely without some sort of external pressure. Amazon, despite all Bezos is selling, still going up. This one has been kind of the opposite of Apple. It's got moderately strong buy pressure, that's managed to keep up. We've seen short puts grow pretty substantially over the last week. Gamma Max has stayed elevated from price, and we've continued to push further and further away from delta gamma neutral, which also indicates that a lot of just the underlying on this is being purchased. But delta and gamma neutral on it right now are both at like 145. Gamma max is at 185. So it's in a very stable bullish range. Obviously it's had a little bit of trouble here at the 175 resistance. Hasn't really crossed over. But I think the only thing that's really going to pull back on this is market influence. It doesn't look like it's getting a lot more bullish. So we've probably found a top around 175 for now, 175, 180. Yeah, the Dow inclusion probably helped. It's going to be added to more ETFs. That might stimulate some buying as we move into the March ETF settlement period. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, otherwise, Amazon looks kind of uninteresting, and I don't really know if there's much. I guess you could try to play the mean reversion back to like 68 and then, try to play it back up to 75 again. But yeah, it looks kind of dull. Might not be worth playing options on. Thanks. I've got some Reddit gold. Should be worth something after the IPO. Oh, I got news for you. You're in a company with an AISC sub 1300 with gold at 2K, doing 2 million ounces a month. It might be a good investment. Yeah, believe it or not. It's a year. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a bit high. Basically because no AI company is offering. They did it with a 0% coupon payment, and I think like 30% discounts at equity on conversion. Honestly, pretty clever on management's part. Huh. Okay, I'll have to read it. Curious. Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure somebody's bound to take advantage of the fact that everyone wants to buy into AI right now. But that's pretty advantageous for them. What's some hey homewrecker? Have we fixed inflation? No, it looks like projections are getting worse at least. Also, wind mod. Awkward. Is the Amazon rise because of Dow inclusion? It probably has something to do with it. All right. AMD. I guess we could cover this. I know I got a big spike off of Nvidia earnings. Kind of looks like call interest is waning, but bullish. This one's more like bullish neutral rather than Apple, which is bearish neutral. Um, I'd be looking for a break to the downside of 173.82. And then the next level would be like 160, and that would kind of confirm a turnaround. But dealer Delta and Gamma have been kind of dwindling. Overall options exposure on it's been slumping a little bit. Although we do have a pretty decent amount of sold puts. Is that the highest ever? Very close to the highest ever. The only other time that was quite so high was August 3rd of 2023. A point at which AMD was still performing pretty well. I would say until we start to see some of those sold puts pull back, that we're going to be pretty stable to the downside here. Going into next week, carrying a little bit of positive charm off of the expiration, but not very much. Gamma's positive and Delta's negative. So yeah, everything kind of winding down on this right now, but still slightly positive. I know GN and DN are still very far out of the money. Delta Neutral's at like 146, almost $30 out of the money. This has a long way to go down before things get really bearish. There's probably some chop to be played, maybe filling the gap to the downside that came off of Nvidia earnings, which is about a $10 range. So it's not terrible, but I would expect there to be a fair amount of support on that downside move. So it might be kind of grindy. Maybe like end of week debits, like long debit, or like at the money credit spread. At the money credit spread might be a little better because you'll benefit from the vol crush a little faster. Actually, speaking of which, yeah, and IV is crushing out a little bit, so we are starting to see some more sold calls up here. Um, I don't think there's any reason not to be on board with the larger institutions selling calls. At least you have some defense. And if you go like a little bit further out of the money than them, since they're so concentrated at like 180, 175, might be advantageous, is that they're more likely to protect your position for you. So maybe like the 180-85 spread, which I don't think it has great returns, but it might be okay. Let me double check. There might be a smaller one. Hold on. So do bear call AMD March 1st. So the 80-85. That's not amazing. You can pick up like 30% on risk with like the 180, 180, 250. That one might be pretty good. And on declining IV, say it loses like another 5% IV this week. When's their earnings? Their earnings is going to be coming up, so IV may not go down. Okay, not till April. Yeah, so maybe something like this. Nope, that's the wrong one. Boop. There we go. Something like that, or you could take a little more risk and go closer to the money, and then you could get like 40% on risk, 64%, 40% on collateral. But then you'd only need, a small drop to close those out, like a 50% gain the early part of the week. We do have a lot of data coming up into the end of this week, though, from a macro perspective. So that might be something to watch out for. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I kind of like the short call position on this. Boop. What time is it? Oh, it's almost time to grab the nerds. I still have Google, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, and Tesla to go through. I didn't talk about Tesla. I'm gonna have to bring them on board while I finish these. Am I too late to take a request to look at the stock Med? Ew. It looks like they make shitty food based off of like some wellness thing. Yeah, this kind of shit generally doesn't do very well in a recession because people stop spending money on dumb stuff. I assume you're thinking like buy and hold. Oof. Almost every Almost every metric is declining. Cash flows have taken a pretty big hit. They are getting their liabilities down a bit. I don't really know much about them besides that though. There's got to be some other reason that this has just been tanking for 2 years. It's like a winner. I mean, I would say it looks very far from finding any kind of bottom or stability. Is there something? Is there something about it I don't know? That makes it particularly enticing? Or do you just want to short it? Kind of want to short it. Oh, okay. um, I would say you're kind of late to the party, but yeah, I see the float. Kind of risky, right? You want to get caught in that if it turns around. Look what fucking happened when it bounced in 2020. And right now, it looks like a lot of their excess cash flows and profits are going into clearing out their liabilities. And, if they can get their liabilities into a more favorable position, their margins might start to expand again. You could get caught short and get fucked hard. I'm not going over shrimp. Fuck off. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna grab the quant so we can go over Google together. What's up,
Yeah,
nerds?
cool. So, anyways, I put it in my butt, and then the back pain went away. It was pretty crazy.
Right after you put it in your butt?
Right after, dude, it was like magic.
Huh.
Just put it in my butt.
Interesting.
That's not what happened when I did it.
Mm.
Well, you did it in your chair. That was the problem.
Mm.
You weren't relaxed enough, so you just locked up and spasmed.
It's a
Sure.
whole process. Hi, Gert.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I don't know. Just going through stocks as fast as I can. I've only gotten halfway through the Mag 9 or whatever it is we cover at this point. Um I was going into Google, which I'm currently short on, unfortunately. Um Although I feel like it kind of still looks like shit.
You're short on Google right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no it's not. I mean, so they're at resistance. They bumped up a little bit on Nvidia's earnings and then lost all their gains immediately. Um,
How can
but
you be
but
bearish on AI right now? Or even like Google in general, like knowing that they've served up so many more ads
okay, well, so
this
the
quarter.
options positioning on Google when I started shorting it had gotten really shitty. Since then it's improved slightly, but it's not like full bull. And then also, if the AI narrative is as good as everyone says it is, then search should suffer, right?
Yeah.
Why is search doing so well if AI is the new thing?
Well,
Like
I mean,
Google's
even if,
losing their
yeah.
monopoly. It should be cratering right now.
First of all, I don't think Google has really lost materially any of its
I'm aware.
hold on search. Second of all, even if they're successful in creating a chatbot to do it, it's still more expensive than their current search methodology. So they're going to lose margin hard. So Google's kind of backed themselves into a corner here. Honestly, the best thing that could happen for Google is if the chatbots just fail to take hold.
What about their chatbots?
Yeah, even they're I think they're just hedging, right? I mean, all of this LLM nonsense in the chase is just everybody just seeing what sticks, right? But for Google, they have to hedge. If it does work, they're gonna, I mean, they'll be dead without it, right? But even if their bot is successful as well, their margins are still going to take a huge wallop, but they'll survive, right?
Yeah.
It's all very bullish.
Huh. Well, I'm kind of hoping that their like dealer delta and gamma continue to decline week after week, which is what's been going on. And that the Google bulls give up a little bit of ground. I'm short at like 140, so I'm not super worried, right? And I have to like OPEX on a debit spread, so I'm not like eating a lot of theta or anything, but it would be nice to see it reject here and start coming down.
Yeah, I mean,
If it breaks up, I'll just cut it if I can go long.
yeah, I haven't really looked at Google's options chain here. Let's see what's going on with this bad boy. Yeah, pretty floundery stuff.
Yeah, you can kind of see the exact point where I went short. And then that didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the 16th, and then that just didn't materialize. Like just enough buyers came in to keep it from falling more. And we got like a little bit of a bounce, but I'm kind of hoping the little bit of a bounce. It's still so close to my risk that I'm hoping the bounce kind of just also dies off, and then we get some more downside.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that even with the bounce, the momentum's kind of turning, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think that it's
All
just
right.
a little bit it's like losing its luster, this whole thing, and I think that, like you said in your post earlier, Jay Fresh, the capital is deployed, you know.
Yeah, I've been trying to find this chart I saw that broke out in more detail the historical changes, the recent historical changes in VC spending at different stages. Because
Mm-hmm.
there was a really nice chart somewhere. I couldn't find it, but I mean, you can just type in like VC spending 2023 and you'll see all the articles about the decline. I think venture capital's now back to like 2017 levels. So, and it's got some momentum to the downside. So the money's kind of drying up, which is interesting because IPOs are not picking up at all, right? I mean, everyone's talking about the Reddit IPO, but there's a lot of shitcos out AI shitcos out there that need some exit capital.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, if I had to say one thing, so I just went through Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, and then even Nvidia a little bit. If I had to say one thing about all of their options chains, is that all of them are looking a little lackluster. Like you said, I mean, even like Nvidia looks like it's gonna revert back below Gamma Max. Call interest in the back half of Friday was falling off pretty hard. Short calls have a pretty good foothold at 820, 800.
The thing I don't like about Nvidia is if you just ignore ignore all the positioning, right?
Yeah.
Just look at total delta on the chain.
That's ridiculous.
And it's growing, right? And it kind of looks like an exponential. Obviously, all exponentials flatten out eventually in markets and equilibrium is found. But I don't think it's ready to short because I mean, just the fact that delta on the chain just keeps going up. That's that's not a sign of decreasing interest, right?
No, I agree.
So. Yeah, I think
I'm thinking more in the short term.
there could be a short-term pullback, but I
Yeah.
don't think this thing's done. There's no reason for it to be done, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's far from done. I'm gonna keep straddling it though. That's been really effective. Just buying I'm not doing it over the weekend, which I'm sure I'm gonna regret. But like Monday through Friday, I'm just buying the weekly contract at the money, like 25 on each leg before close, and so far it's been phenomenal.
yeah, I would imagine. Oh, yeah, it's pretty wild
uh,
ball.
yeah, but I'm sure that'll become less profitable as vol keeps kind of trickling down post earnings. Because I was doing that all the way into the like alongside the IV increase into earnings, which was really great. But now that we're past earnings, I feel like the excitement's gonna fade a little bit. I know Delta's growing, but like we lost like what 500 million in charm on Friday's close. We fall below
It's
we
still
fell.
really elevated. It's still even
Yeah,
after it's still pretty much like since it started going at a 45-degree angle. We're still at those levels. So I think it's just going to keep going until absolutely everything's blown out.
all right, fine. I won't short Nvidia on Monday morning. Dick. Tesla. I didn't look at Tesla. Tesla looks awful. I don't know. Maybe Tesla finally loses the 187 level this week and starts to fail again. Looks like support at 192, 188. 188's GN. So if it loses 188, probably see a drop back to like that 175, 170 level.
Yeah, sorry I was leaving you in the lurch there. I was, obviously my kids are always running around and you get what you get from me. But thanks,
No
Dork,
worries.
for filling the silence.
Oh no, I was just listening intently while I was messing around with code. I mean, you did the
Dork's
guys
not
are
even
dead
here.
on. I'm here.
He's closing on his house in like 2 weeks, and he already feels like it's just going to become his magical retirement. He doesn't even need to focus anymore. He's a homeowner.
Wow. Is this how we're
Fuck you,
motivating?
Jay
Is this how we're gonna motivate Dork now?
Oh my god, are you kidding me, Jay Fresh? I'm so focused on good stuff, but you're right though. Once I do close on my house, I'm pretty much just gonna fuck off. I'll be gone.
He's done. All the way
Be
below
retired.
GM. Wow. Well, I mean, GM on Nvidia is at 770. So, I mean, say it does have a small pullback Monday, it could go as low as like 750. That's a big fucking move for a weekly. I don't know
The
about
top
you,
on
but
Nvidia is
I like money.
1057.
What?
The top on Nvidia is 1057.55.
I don't care. I don't
Sure.
care where the top
Sure.
is. I just want to know what it's gonna
Don't
do
give it all
tomorrow.
away.
It may not ever reach that.
When it
want
hits that within $1, you're gonna bring way too much attention to us.
I just wanted to say it. All right, I just wanted to
That's
say
fine.
it.
You planted the flag. The odds are not in your favor, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, I don't think.
Let me be clear. Don't buy weeklies to try to short Nvidia on Monday, because what'll probably happen is the 800 calls will pull back at market open. It'll rocket up to 800, squeeze out the rest of the 800 calls, and then go to like 900. So yeah,
Yep.
even the short dated put, as attractive as it looks, probably a terrible fucking idea.
Yeah, what's going to happen is people are going to move into the Nvidia covered call ETF, and then it's going to get squoze out, and then they're not going to care because their risk is mitigated, and then they're going to do it again.
yep.
Tesla, on the other hand, does actually look like a wet bag of cat shit.
Yeah, Tesla would be one to focus on.
I think,
and I kind of put this on in Twitter, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was excited.
Okay, you go ahead.
Because Nvidia, I mean, Nvidia is basically taken all of the meme energy from Tesla. Like, Nvidia is the new Tesla. So if you're trying to play Tesla like it's still Tesla, it's probably not going to go well for you. I think, given the fact that so much of the value, or so much of just the dollars that used to go into that options chain, are now moving to other places, mostly Tesla or mostly Nvidia. Yeah,
I saw
I'm
a chart.
actually surprised.
I saw a chart on like total Tesla call volume against like SPY and Nvidia, and like Tesla's just like up here, right? And all through like 2022, 2023. SPY is like this, and then Nvidia is, down here and then starts spiking. And then in the last like 6 months, Tesla's just gone like that, and Nvidia's gone like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, if anything, I would take your Tesla strategy and move it over to Nvidia.
I mean, I have.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. I'm straddling Nvidia pretty often.
I meant to people generally, not just you.
But yeah, I think if Tesla loses gamma neutral here, a pretty clear path down to like 175 over the next couple of weeks. So that could be a good short. Might be the only one worth shorting. The rest of them look really attractive for selling vol on, though. Like the rest of the Mag 7 outside of Nvidia.
Yeah. If I was gonna, like, let's say, if I was interested in, if I was feeling dangerous and wanted to try to sell some calls on something, I feel like Apple's the one to sell them on.
I heard you got a tax return recently, so what you're saying is you do feel dangerous. I've been.
Here's the thing: the way that my wife and I file our taxes, technically, it's her tax return. So I'll have to show her how to
sell calls on Apple. Yeah, I've been selling like 80, 82 and 82, 85 spreads on Apple for March for like a couple weeks. But yeah, Apple's the one that kind of looks like it's just slowly dying the most.
Yeah.
Tesla looks dead, and Apple looks like it's next.
Berkshire's pulling out of Apple, right?
Are they
fake news, or is that real?
No, that can't be real. Why would they pull out of Apple?
Think,
they're still up like 10,000%.
Well, I mean, you sell high.
Buffett never sells.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's just like an old codger. He just holds on to everything.
Okay, this is from CNN. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway sold off 10 million shares of Apple stock in the final 3 months of 2023.
Oh,
representing only about 1% of its total holdings, but it's still.
So they sold off their tax liability?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But Berkshire has been showing that they are they're starting to pile up cash.
They have a huge cash allocation right now. I think it's like the largest one they've ever had, like 197 billion or something.
So just food for thought.
They're sitting on a lot of cash. I don't think they'll ever close the entirety of their Apple position, but I am surprised they sold some end of year. That's interesting.
I mean, at some point, now that everyone's moving from dividends to buybacks, I mean, to capture it, you've got to sell, right? You can't just sit on it.
True.
So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic as we go forward. Hopefully it'll lead to a little bit more price discovery, but we'll see. Just watching all these companies just record buybacks. They're just funneling all this free money that everyone handed out into the shareholders before it all collapses.
I mean, execs across the Max 7 are just dumping stock like crazy, and the stocks are just going
Yeah.
up, right?
The great financial circle jerk, am I right? Like,
yeah. Take
literally,
shareholder
I
money,
mean,
use it to buy back stock, sell your stock.
well, it's funny is like they say that, like, you know, if you look at like value investing and economic subreddits and stuff, like the Stockholm syndrome argument is that buybacks and dividends are functionally the same, right? However, you know, the thing about buybacks versus dividends is buybacks particularly help larger percent holders of equity versus dividends, which give you an even percent payout, right? So the part where the stock buybacks like benefit investors is only for those with a shit ton of equity.
Yep.
At
Yeah,
least,
it's just another way to provide liquidity. Yeah.
right. So that's the and so like the when people are so happy about buybacks, the people who are happy about buybacks shouldn't be regular people. I mean, like if I thought Google was a very successful company, which they are, and they make as much money as they do, I would much rather be able to do a drip with them than have my share count stay static and have the value of it go up, right? And increase my shareholding through the dividends. It's basically a buyback, but the thing is that the buyback is now democratized versus just the company itself doing the buyback.
So, I mean, all of this stuff, you can literally boil down every single rule and dynamic in financial markets. You can boil them down to what is going to provide the most liquidity to the people who hold the most stock.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Yep. You're dead on.
It's all just rules for how can I sell, how can I sell my stock, which basically, I own so much of it. Just the act of selling it shows the market that supply is now higher and demand is now lower, which should bring the stock down in a fair system. How can I prevent that from happening so that I can sell all of it at, X price? If some stock is trading for $200 and somebody who owns 30% of it wants to sell it all, guess what? It's not all worth $200 anymore, and that should go down as you're
Right.
selling it. And all of the rules are designed to try to prevent that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's it.
It's actually crazy.
We call it liquidity. We call it market making. Yeah.
It's called a distortion to supply and demand. You turn
Yeah.
the supply and demand curve into a vertical line, right? It's just it's completely elastic supply, right?
In an inelastic market.
Right. Well, yeah, yeah, it's just such a fucking weird supply. Like if you want to go economics with stocks, it's a very, very fucking weird supply demand curve. Does not look normal.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense why they would prefer buybacks, because then they can actually sell the stock, right? Without the price going down, or they can sell it while the price is still going up, which is even better.
Interesting.
I kind of want to make a supply demand curve for stocks now, where the price curve for demand is like a hockey stick, where as it goes further down, the price doesn't change, but as it goes up, the price goes up. That's pretty much what it is.
I'm going to show you guys just right off the bat the most bearish chart I've seen all week. Are you ready for this?
Hold on. I gotta log into the YouTube.
Oh, okay. Let me know when you're ready.
You see, he doesn't come to the lectures prepared like I do.
Wait, did you bring charts?
Hold on, I have to watch an ad for NASDAQ.
Oh, God damn it.
I can't skip this one either. God, Google needs so much money.
This is the
Oh,
bear
three
thesis.
months, 3 months of free 3 months of free Google TV was just offered to me. 3 ads? Oh God, I can skip those. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Google must be screwed.
I don't even.
All right,
Yeah,
what's your,
that's the best part is I don't even have ads turned on right now. All right, there you go.
all right? What is
Short interest
oh
in
yeah.
Mag
I've
7
seen this.
stocks has hit its lowest level since 2018. The Bears are dead, which is the most bearish thing I can think of.
There's no there's no bears. There's no bears. It's just bulls. It's like the promotional shots for World War Z, where like the zombies are just like climbing and falling over each other as they try to scale the wall, and they're just like they just keep going and keep falling, and they're just but the momentum of them actually gets it to be able to go like up the wall. They're literally just it's just bulls climbing and falling over themselves
Like
over
the
and over again.
SPX.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the SPX, I won again.
Did you?
Well, Bulgurk did.
So technically, I won.
I don't know. You weren't here, so Bulgurk
You don't. Yeah, but I
preceded
gave you.
you.
You don't get. You don't get two. That's not. I thought we already established you don't get 2 guesses. That's not.
I got
That's
2
not.
because you didn't show up. You weren't here for the good times, and
Sounds like I won.
so I had to fill in your space with Bulgurk. Bulgurk has the best record.
Inverse Gurk. Best Gurk.
Yep. What was your end of week was 151.22.
Yeah, 51.20 is probably
Bull
what I said.
Bulgurk was 50.85. So Bulgurk was $3 off the end of week.
Ugh.
Friday was interesting. I called that shit. But yeah, big bull trap on Friday. Hold on one second. You guys talk. I'll be right back.
So what I found interesting, JFresh, was that the market moved more from Nvidia's earnings than it did from a super good CPI print. That was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have pretty much entered the point where the SPX is simply a measurement of the sentiment of AI. So very much like a crypto coin, where it holds no intrinsic value of its own. It's simply a sentiment measure of people's elation over the blockchain. The SPX is a measurement of elation over AI, and it represents just about nothing else at this point. Which I think once you make peace with that, your approach to the market will change dramatically.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to say it's going to just start coming down. It's like everybody, and I just from my interactions on social media, I mean, everybody acknowledges this thing is ridiculous, right? I mean, like I can't find anyone that really honestly says that it's not a bubble, right? Even people who think it's that AI and all this stuff is the next big thing, so say and it's a bubble. So everybody knows that it shouldn't keep going up, right? But yet it does, and so obviously a lot of that has to do with squeezing out sold calls from people who are trying to increase their exposure. There's people who had to chase. I think we're still chasing from that like middle of December moment. Where everybody just kind of had to start going long because they were missing the rally. So we're still kind of floating on that. When is that going to stop? I don't know. I mean, if you look at, I actually was able to call SMCI pretty well at the top, and I don't want to give away what we were doing, similar to what Dork was just saying for Nvidia. But if that's the dynamic, if that's truly what's happening, ooh, I just got another ad. Google is so screwed. If that's what they're doing, and that's how it's going to play out on the even just the whole global market scale, then I think we're looking probably like SPX 5250, maybe 5300. But I mean that basically is like full max, like full baby max squeeze, like everything, like absolutely everything squeezes to complete 100%. What happens after that? I don't know. Then everybody is everybody's long, and nobody wants to be long, right?
Well, so like there's an interesting thing that mechanically could happen at that
Oh, I
point,
just
right?
got another ad. What is going on?
I don't know.
I'm not getting as many ads as you. Hey, Girk, check out the chart I just posted in the Dick chat.
If we start getting more people watching this, we're gonna have to stop saying things like dick chat.
Are we?
I don't know.
That seems like a misnomer.
What do you think of that chart, Girk?
Hold on, I can't see it. AI bubble. Oh.
Google
All right,
trend for
that's pretty
AI
funny.
bubble is going vertical. Mr. Poopy Pants astounded debate.
I can't believe this was a search before August of 2020. Who was concerned about the AI bubble in fucking 20? Like, what analyst is that?
My favorite is looking
him?
at Google Trends of ChatGPT.
Every 6-7 minutes. Adblock is free, yeah.
Yeah. ChatGPT interest peaked in the end of April of 2023, right around finals.
Okay.
Dropped in the summer, picked back up at the end of August, beginning of September, which is the beginning of the fall semester. Did not reach its previous high, dropped from December 15th to middle of January, which is winter break, and now has popped back up to around where it was before in 2023, but still hasn't quite reached its peak. If you look at the most common places where ChatGPT search is occurring, it's occurring, and if you do it by city, you get places like Stanford, West Lafayette, which is Purdue University, College Park, I think that's UPenn, Amherst, there's nothing there, but Massachusetts Amherst, Berkeley, Blacksburg, Virginia, which is Virginia Tech, Champaign, Illinois, which is University of Illinois, Ann Arbor, another college town, Davis, college town, right? So it's just college students fucking around with it.
Trying to cheat on exams. You know what? You know what it is, man? It's just because you're a boomer and you don't know about the hot new trend, which is searching for Sora.
You can't use Sora yet, can you? Oh.
Right? Look at that shit. And then hold on.
Wait,
look at where it's
Wait, what's going on there?
They're trying to skirt their porn laws, man. Fucking Utah just was so far ahead of the pack.
Oh my gosh. Wait, there's definitely an interesting story here. Hawaii is number 2. Why?
I was hoping you would notice that. I don't know why Hawaii is number 2. Oh, because Zuckerberg lives there, right?
You think he's just searching Zora?
Yeah.
Or Sora?
Yeah, he's the only one. He's trying to build out his metaverse and his private.
There's got to be something. What is it about Hawaii and Utah?
Isn't Hawaii where like the NSA has all their like data centers? So it's just the
I have no
NSA. This is what's going on here. We
Wait,
figured
wait,
it
wait.
out. Hold on. I've solved it. It's the NSA trying to catch child porn addicts in Utah.
Mm.
Ooh.
And all the interest in Sora is generated by those two groups.
Wait, Wolf of Walgreens is saying that Hawaii also has a high Mormon population. First of all, number one, is that true? And number two, what the heck is that about?
Do they?
I need to know more about this.
I'm looking up Hawaiian Mormons right now.
I need to know the migratory patterns of the average Mormon.
Holy shit, 3% of Hawaii is Mormon.
That's wild. I mean, I guess if I was gonna like start and cultivate a cult, it'd be in a nice place.
I guess they translated in the Book of Mormon into Hawaiian in the 1850s. And the Hawaiians embraced the gospel. By 1870, more than 4,000 Hawaiians were Latter-day Saints. Oh my god, it's just Mormons.
See, this is the market content I think that everybody joins us to listen to.
Us discovering Mormons trying to create porn with Sora.
Wait, there's like a whole group of folks in this chat who have had Mormon experiences in Hawaii.
Where?
LSD says Upper North Shore Oahu, I couldn't get a drink with my meal.
Really? Idaho has more Mormons than Utah. That can't be true. Mormon poll now. Who would have thought that a religion based off the ramblings of a horny 14-year-old would be so interested in generating video AI content?
There's got to be some kind of like, maybe like, I don't know, there's like a data center in Utah or something. Like, who knows?
No.
Because
I would say yes, but then
right?
Hawaii, right?
Nobody has access to Sora. I think it's like closed beta right now.
New York's number 3, but by like 50%. It's like a distant number 3.
Oh, Mormons.
This is amazing.
I don't understand. Like, so, like, you know, I have a few Latter-day Saints friends, and you know, I very gently broached the topic of like, the Book of Mormon is weird, you guys, and they're like, yeah, it is, but the community's really great, and we try to focus on the good things that the dude said and did. And I was like, all right.
How dare you blaspheme Native American Jesus?
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, Jesus came back to. It solves the problem of like, how did the America, you know, it's anyway. Okay, so I guess we're going down this rabbit hole. So there's the conundrum of, if you know, God is a loving God and created this pathway for everyone to come to Him, is it fair if there are whole populations of people that never had access to Jesus and His teachings? Because, right, how is any knowledge about Jesus going to make it to the other side of the world while He was alive? Nobody, there was no like path over there, right? So that the conundrum is solved by saying that after Jesus rose from the dead and ascended back into heaven, he went to the Americas and went over there and did a whole bunch of, he did a world tour. You know, he Taylor Swifted
Yeah.
Before his final ascension. That closes that open end of making it available to all. So everybody has had an opportunity to learn, and it is upon themselves if they refuse it.
Bastards. Imagine denying the teachings of Native American Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the Church of Mormon or LSD has their or LDS has their own cryptocurrency.
LSD. Those are Freudian slip.
We have someone
we
in
need
chat
more
called
cryptocurrencies?
LSD. I don't see
We
why
already
not.
have.
We have
WorldCoin.
Bitcoin for Jesus.
We have
But you'd
WorldCoin.
think that the Church of Latter-day Saints would want their own version. Smithcoin.
Smithcoin.
Yeah, I like it.
Please talk about WorldCoin. There's nothing to say about it. It's a scam by Sam Altman. I've heard it's mooning. The idea is simply that AI is going to take over, and the only way to convince anyone, digitally or in person, that you're a real human is to have WorldCoin.
Oh, and WorldCoin ensures that you're a person?
Yeah.
Because it's going to get so confusing.
Wait, is it fungible or not?
It's no. Well, it scans your eyeball and it stores that to the blockchain. So assuming we can't make fake eyeballs, which if we can make AGI, we'll probably also be able to make fake eyeballs.
Wait, but is it fungible?
I think the tokens are right. I mean, that's always like the blockchain. The value is in the blockchain transaction, which is your eyeball.
But wait, then if it's fungible, then
the tokens are fungible, but the proof of the transaction on the blockchain is what's valuable.
Hold on. RC's newest bag holder says, my ex-wife is Mormon. After the divorce, she boinked her brother. Gotta be in the teachings, right? You know what, man? You didn't need to share that.
Yeah, and RC's newest bag holder, I like how you said after the divorce. If she boinked her brother after the divorce, she was boinking her brother the whole time.
Yeah, that sounds like it's been that was an ongoing thing. Because she's known him longer than you.
Yeah. So there's that for you to. Sorry we had to ruin your day, but you ruined ours, so what's hers?
Yes. I agree. But he did, in fact, share it, and it's a fascinating bit of information. I mean, the only thing I find fascinating is that he thinks it happened only after the divorce. She met him just prior to the divorce. She was adopted. Oh, there's like a psychological thing with that, where like siblings that are separated at birth meet each other and then like fall in love with each other sexually.
Isn't there there's like a Netflix documentary about it, isn't there?
I don't know. Netflix has made documentaries about so many things, and most of them not true. That's called Iceland?
Harsh.
Oh my god.
Did they did they put a sheet between them to keep God's eyes averted from their sin? Bro, what?
We can get weirder. We're not even full.
Yeah, I don't even think we've started. Have we gotten rid of anyone yet?
No, there's more people.
Jesus Christ, it's growing.
We've added 8 people since we started talking about this.
The growth has just become parabolic since we started talking about Mormon intra-sheet incest.
Wait. So if we start talking about market data, then will it go back down?
Yeah, I think so. You know what it is? It's almost like talking about the market's boring.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We try to make it interesting.
Church is getting out. I don't think anybody regularly attends church, regularly attends this stream. I mean, except for that guy who's a pastor.
Yeah, but he's a
He's
pastor.
he's pretty chill as far as pastors go. He's taken a lot of shit from me at least.
All of us. He's
yeah.
maybe he's trying to convert us. Maybe he thinks like if he hangs around long enough, he can
Oh, yeah,
like he
I
can
think he's
fix
trying
us.
to make. I think he's trying to make money,
Yeah, probably.
and I can respect that.
I mean, and a good pastor too. Like, if you discuss things with pastors, a good one won't try to convert you. You know, if you say you're not a whatever they are.
But if you do convert, and you need a baptism, they'll do it in their bathtub for you.
Here's what I feel like they're gonna hang around, and then if you do go that way, they're gonna take credit. They're gonna be like, "Look what I did."
Yeah,
That's what I would
that's
do if I was a pastor. I'd just hang around with a lot of sinners, and then any of them that find Jesus, I'd take all the credit. I'd be like, "Look what I did." Through my guiding light, he found God.
you had a hand.
I'd be a great church leader.
We can now that let's make this even more interesting. Since we've been ragging on Mormons, what is up with like Christians and feet?
Is there a Christian foot fetish?
Did you see the ad?
No.
For the Super Bowl?
Oh, with the washing of the feet? That's
Washing
something
of the
to do
feet.
with. Yeah, that's like a Jesus thing.
I know.
Yeah,
he washed
everybody.
he washed the whore's feet and said, you know, if you love me, you'll wash people's feet. And all of a sudden, everybody's special and all that. Kumbaya.
Jesus just liked whore's feet. I think we.
That was like one. That was
was
one story, and he like washed like a few feet. He didn't go nuts. Wait,
I mean,
no, the story was the whore washed his feet.
Oh. Okay. I still feel like the immediate conclusion is really obvious. Jesus had a foot fetish.
Something. Yeah, it was just
Right?
really.
Like that's
really
what you're
awkward.
gonna jump. Occam's razor.
Ooh, the NSA has a huge data center in Utah.
The NSA also has a huge data center in Hawaii. It's so they can watch the Mormons. I'd be worried about them too.
Dude, we're losing a lot of viewers. They did not like the foot thing.
Yeah, so we do have some. We have some non-Mormon Jesus people. So talk shit on the Mormons. People come flooding in. Talk shit about Jesus. They're done with us.
Well, no, because they have to run real quick, because if they listen to it, that sin will be ascribed on.
It's working. We found the key to losing all of our viewers.
I think YouTube just had a brief outage because we're right back up again.
I think YouTube probably just toggles it to give the illusion that anybody cares about any of the content on Google.
Wolf of Walgreens, former Latter-day Church member, current sinner, says that every three-letter agency has a high Mormon makeup.
Save the world from sin, and they'll still call you a feet washer if you wash one foot. Nice. Okay.
That's excellent.
Markets. Is there anything to talk about? Yeah.
Well, I just checked last week on the economic calendar since I've been on the road, just catching up. Looks like Japan's economic data wasn't that great.
Oh, did that come out today?
Yeah.
No, it came out like there's a bunch of stuff last week, like balance of trade, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah, none of that was good. Japan has inflation tomorrow night.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, wait. So can we discuss the tail on the tips auction?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the long run 2.2% inflation expectation.
I like the way you worded it. That was great.
That's really healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
who in their right mind right now would be thinking about deflation?
It was a small auction, but it does tell us that the bond market, yeah, it does actually. It does tell us that the bond market overwhelmingly considers the long run rate of inflation over the next 30 years to be above the Fed's target by 0.2, which is substantial, right? when you're talking about over 30 years.
I mean, I think it's just sort of an admission that our spending's out of control.
And
I
yet,
mean,
it still didn't have much of an effect on the that was actually a really interesting pivot point on Thursday's crazy run. Right, was that the 30-year tips came in alongside a bunch of bears who all immediately got squeezed the fuck out in a like $150 billion buy of Delta over like 3 minutes. So
Yeah, I
all
mean,
the bears piled in on the 30-year tips auction, and they just got blown the fuck up.
yeah, I mean, it started. Obviously, this week is really skewed, I think, by just the momentum from Nvidia's earnings. But I mean, there's starting to become some troubling signs in terms of like fiscal deficits and what the bond market is telling us about that. I mean, I think the consensus is we still have a lot of time before we start getting into like a debt spiral. And probably maybe we do, but I think people are already starting to get a little bit antsy about the probability that this is coming, which is concerning.
Well, into the
Yeah.
end of the day, Friday, we're now pricing in slightly less than 3 rate cuts by the end of the year.
Well, like, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
gherkinit's been on
gonna.
the stagflation trade we've been on the stagflation train for well over a year now. I think honestly, since like late 21, I think we both kind of we're of the mindset of stagflation, of being like kind of the end game of this cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're finally joining our flock.
Yeah, I think I've been in so.
I just don't think we
There's
can
definitely.
I don't think a modern economy can sustain an extended period of stagflation. Like I think we would just hit stagflation and then crash.
Probably. With this much leverage, yeah, we can't like this. And it's a fundamental flaw with our modern economic theory that infinite economic growth is necessary for prosperity.
Yeah, here's the concerning thing, right? Is people are kind of getting lulled into a false sense of security where they can say, okay, well, if things dump, then the Fed can cut rates. Um, but you could also argue that just because the economy dumps doesn't mean that inflation's going to go down, because when an economy dumps, supply goes down too.
Yep.
And so it's a question of if the economy, as the economy evolves, whether it goes up or down, right? Is supply changing faster than demand, or is it the other way around? And it's not necessarily true that just because we dump, we're going to have lower prices, because we're going to have less supply as well. And you have a Fed that is dealing with inflation. They can't just magically lower rates, to try to like stimulate anything. If anything, lowering rates might be the opposite of stimulative because it will lower deficit spending.
Well, that's the there's a conundrum here, right? That's like the fiscal monetary conundrum, right? On the fiscal side of things, they want everything to keep going up, right? And on the monetary side of things, they want things to go up at a manageable clip. So,
Wait, are you
you
telling
know,
me that 7% and GDP isn't manageable? We
I
can't
mean,
sustain that forever?
there's no, you can't,
That's
at least not with inflation at 2%.
that's
But
fucking communist talk.
I know, right? But there is a path forward where a soft landing is achievable, but it's done by very close and synchronous operation between not only the Treasury and the Fed, but between the Treasury, Fed, and Congress, right? Like the only way to really like lower rates without, basically creating another boom bust cycle is by lowering rates at the same time that you cut spending. That's really the only way you can do that. And good luck telling the government to make the economy slow down with their spending, right?
I mean, I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I just checked. If you guys aren't aware of it, there's actually a great little website you can pop on every once in a while. And it's if you just go to Google and just type in debt to the penny, it'll pull up like a treasury website that tracks every day the total debt of the U.S. every day to the penny.
Yep. It's a good website.
And so far, and you can export it. You can get huge historical data. It's a great little spot. Pretty easy to use. But I just checked it earlier this week, and we burned through $300 billion in deficit spending so far this year. And that, if that run rate was linear all year, obviously we're going to have some tax receipts and stuff. So we'll see what happens the next few months. But we're looking at like a $2.1 trillion deficit is the burn rate we're at right now. And our GDP grows by like but last year it grew by like 1.4 trillion. So that's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
It's like an imminent problem.
Well, now I can pull up a chart of the gold content in Roman coins, and basically we could like, this is sort of it's and I know I'm going to sound like Peter Schiff, but there's a parallel.
Have you been thinking about the Roman Empire?
I always do. I never stop.
Oh my God! I hate that.
All I see is Rome all the way down, right? But you could actually pull up charts of like, Rome's economy, their army size, the amount of money in circulation, all these things, and you can see a fairly clear parallel and trend between, the rise of the Roman Empire and sort of that whole empiric cycle and what we're doing now, right? If government spending is growing faster than GDP, that pretty much means we're filling our coins with lead, and it's not really doing anything to actually benefit, our economy. We're not taking that money and letting it, it's not being invested where it grows, right? It's being wasted. It's being lost.
Yeah.
And that's how you end up in a late stage sort of, not just economy, but, like an empire, if you're not careful. And that's why, government spending is such a huge issue. And everyone just thinks, the debt doesn't matter and all this shit. But like, it really does at some point. Like, otherwise we have to export so much inflation to other countries that we just grind them into the dirt. And that's ultimately what shakes faith in the US dollar as a means of transactions of currency.
All right. I'm going to say one thing, though, that's different about the Roman Empire versus the US, despite the parallels in lead content in their coins, is that by increasing the dollar value, we force every other world economy to long our currency. In a way that they cannot, while maintaining like a stable currency, right? So as far as de-dollarization goes, there is no alternative option, right? China spent the last 3 years reducing their treasury holdings in US dollars in order to boost their digital currency and de-dollarize, right? And they've almost bought back everything they've sold off over the last 3 years in the last 3 months. And they were maybe the closest to de-dollarizing on any substantial level.
Well, here I'm going to post.
I don't think the dollar's going anywhere, but I do think that the debt's a problem.
There's a chart for you, Girk.
All right, hold on.
There's another issue as well, right? Not only the debt and the deficit. Well, I should say the deficit's a problem. I don't know that I care a whole lot about the debt other than just how sensitive it makes deficits. I think the deficits are the key. But the other problem is population, right? We're not making babies anymore. So, and we're also, we're having all these crises of, at the border, and
That's okay
our
because of
immigration
AI,
system's a
right?
mess. But no, yeah, of course.
AI is
But
gonna come
so
in and fix all the
we
problems.
need a functional way to keep this system working the way it has been. We need a functional way to get more people in because we're not making them, and that system currently is very dysfunctional.
Aliens. That's a good
and
idea.
and so we need to start sending out. We need to use AI. We need to divert all of the investment into graphics card chips and AI into RF transmitters so that we can send our signal out into space to get aliens to come and immigrate to our country and continue growth.
See, I mean, I agree with you, but I think there's an alternate solution to making more babies.
What's that?
Well, Texas seems to have been solved it by somehow magically um, increasing teen birth rates in the last
Oh yeah.
1 year by like 20%.
Yeah.
So here, hold on. I have a better chart now, Girk. This one is a little bit harder to read,
Perfect.
but I think it explains it a little bit better, right? And we're looking at essentially.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. You're not. This isn't novel. You know that, right?
I know, but it's important to
You've just been
cover
listening
when
to
we
too
want
much Peter Schiff again.
when you want to talk about things like long-term trends, right? This is a
Yeah, but
long-term
how
thing.
long? I'm gonna be dead before this is over.
Yeah, but at the same time, you may still feel the effects, the cumulative effects of this over your lifetime.
Maybe.
Seems like
I don't know.
like
I'm rich,
what is the
so
fascination with lead?
So the thing was
it's a neurotoxin.
as Rome's obligations increased and they couldn't find more silver, they had to make coins with lead, right? And so you could use it as a reflection of their deficits. And so, between the first and second chart, in the first chart, it's hard to see; it's just subtle. But they started introducing lead into their coinage right about the same time that their army size and commerce exploded, right? But
Sure.
the long-term result of that, if you start to rely on devaluing your currency and diluting it in order to increase economic growth, you end up with a debt spiral, which they ended in, right? Ultimately
I
the
mean,
Roman.
okay, so I guess yes, we can try to glean some correlations between the two things, but I think that's always going to be insufficient to try to be predictive because the situations are so different in so many different ways, and even just monetary theory in general, nobody really understands what's going on. Like we still have Fed chairs talking about the Phillips curve when I think it's pretty clear that the Phillips curve needs to just be drowned at this point.
I feel like there's some
Uh,
stuff that's fairly simple though, like there's a very simple principle of supply and demand, and you could talk about it with dollars, right? And just because
sure,
you're
but how can you? But this doesn't provide any. This doesn't provide any predictive value, right? At what point does it become unsustainable based on
it,
this? You can't identify it, right? So
well, you
it's not
can the
helpful.
point at which it becomes unsustainable is when your spending is greater than your economic growth.
Is
That's where
it?
it becomes unsustainable, and the effects are cumulative over time. And that's what these charts are sort of showing you is that once Rome started devaluing their currency, they couldn't stop.
Well, they also had no outlet to stop because all of their currency was physical. Which is something other economists have commented on in the past as far as this theory goes. There was no way to actively remove like low value currency from circulation and replace it with higher value currency, so they were unable to take advantage of any boom and kind of just kept feeding more and more bust, right? And we don't have that problem in a modern monetary environment. We have we have effective means of quantitative tightening. We may not be using them at peak effectiveness, but we can. Whereas, lower value roaming coins could stay in circulation for thousands of years. And it would be hard to remove them, right? And you'd have to have
Okay,
multiple coins to change exchange rates, which we can now do digitally. So there's a lot of issues with this, and I don't want to go into all of them, but there's a ton. This is a theory that's been harped on quite a bit in the past, but I don't really think the two are. I mean, like, yes, the more you devalue your currency, and the more you fund growth over time by creating debt, the worse the worse your economy is going to get into its later stages. But also at the same time, our economy is not the same as Rome's.
Yeah, okay, that's a really good argument, but there's still parallels that can be drawn though between devaluing your currency, the sustainability of doing so in order to fuel growth at a rate that is higher than the growth itself,
But
right?
we can
In order to
look to
sustain growth.
Yeah,
problems rather
I
than
don't think
looking
that's
back to
even
Rome, right?
controversial in a statement.
Like we could look
That's
at
not even a
like
controversial statement.
Venezuela or Chile or Weimar Germany, and get a much better like modern grasp of the effects of over monetizing than we can by looking at Rome.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, okay, yeah, that's a very good argument, but it goes to show though that it's not unavoidable, even if I guess the unique situation is that we are the global hegemony in the modern monetary system. But
Yes.
even so, all that means is that you can export your inflation.
Well,
You can
that means
export.
that if we fall, here's the biggest difference between us and Rome. If we fall, everyone falls, right? At an equal rate or a leveraged rate to us. Which means
Right.
that all that really matters is how much competition can we stimulate at the bottom. And if we can generate enough economic growth at the bottom to stay number one, then we'll just continue to stay number one. It won't matter if we fail, right? Because
I
we'll
see.
come out of the bottom ahead of the pack.
It's interesting. I don't think it can go on forever, but I
I
definitely, I
agree with
definitely,
you. I agree with you. It
I see
can't.
Yeah,
how
I
this.
mean,
But
I think everybody agrees it can't go on forever. I mean, you've got J-Pal on 60 Minutes saying that the deficits are too high.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
So did all the
Yeah.
bulls.
Yeah, I guess J Pow agrees with me, but I mean, I think that the outcome, yeah, I don't necessarily think like we're going to have the fall of the United States or anything like that, but there is a risk that people will become reticent to stake value to the dollar versus assets.
But how do you create a system outside of the dollar that can gain any value? Right? You have to go to like a gold reserve or some type of reserve currency, right? Um
Hey,
and
hey,
then that market's always going to be less liquid and more unattractive.
Poopy brings up a good point. You know that who's that dude guy with like the black hair who all of his stream cards are in front of like a raging fire?
I don't know.
Oh,
Can we can we face swap Dork onto that guy and make that one of your?
Absolutely. I'm willing to do that in a heartbeat.
uh,
I think that would just.
Dork,
the
do you want
crack.
to talk about the Eurodollar system?
No, that's the other guy. That's Jeff Snyder. He's talking about Steve Van Meter, and yeah, that's every single he has like this like super clickbait stream card, and then he just like repeats it in his like very beginning of his video. So it's like I can't believe, it's great.
I've
It's
never
a
listened to
Michael
him talk, but I think the stream cards are so funny because his face looks so expressionless, but like the card is supposed to evoke such emotion,
Yeah, like he's like in like the fiery pits of hell, and that's where he's
and
streaming
he's just like half asleep.
from. Right.
I will say, at least we're bearish on more things than other bears. Other bears always seem to like focus on one specific thing that they're bearish on, and we're just bearish on everything. And I think it's nice.
I mean, I think we're bearish on some. I think we're bearish in a kind of like a Socratic method sort of way, right? Like we don't just are we not just bearish on like an AI bubble. That's just something that's kind of happening. But like we're bearish on the trends in human behavior that are resulting in the economy that we are living within. That's cool.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I just want to understand the system better, and because I think it's valuable that we all understand the system that we're all forced to use and rely upon for our livelihood.
Everything, literally every facet of our society is influenced by macroeconomic conditions, and yet nobody cares about them.
Yeah, and then the other part is that I mean the reason that I've kind of latched onto AI lately. I think some people think I'm going nuts, and I am nuts, but I've been this way for a long time, and not just exclusively to AI. I tend to latch on any very prominent and very badly developed thesis and question it. And I enjoy questioning it in the most absurd ways to really highlight, how bad the thesis is. So yeah, I
You
actually
are
have a
the
lot of
author
fun
of
with it.
Socrates. I love
Yeah,
it.
interestingly, I'm not like I know I'm like a big old bear, and everyone's like Girk's so bearish, but I'm not really like bearish on like full scale economic collapse. I don't think that'll ever happen. At least not to any significant degree during our lifetimes. Um, I just think that the markets reached a point where it's unsustainable given our macroeconomic conditions. And so like the more we've more than crossed a point where like if the market keeps going up, when it goes down, it's going to go down hard. And that's really all I care about. I don't think the world's ending. I don't think we're going to lose dollar hegemony. Like I don't think any of that shit. All of that stuff's like ridiculous like conspiracy theory stuff, right? Those people, most of those people that think that is constantly a threat are insane.
First off, I'm taking this personally, but second off, I agree. And the only reason I really bring it up in discussion is to sort of highlight tail risks
It should
and
be
some of
discussed.
yeah, well, it helps you sort of like at least have a better way to quantify tail risks in things like our currency market and our economic growth path, right? Like that's mostly why I bring it up, and I think stagflation. I don't think, yeah, I don't think that like America's about to collapse or anything, but like you still got to bring up these sort of parallels to one, discuss them, and two, highlight how tail risks sort of evolve in economies, where they perform certain actions.
And
Yeah,
and
I mean,
and
I
yeah,
think
and even though we're on an unsustainable fiscal path, that's not something we can't change. It's something that can be changed. And that's what I wanted to point out more than anything with the Rome theory is that they couldn't change that path. There was no way, no outlet for them to do that. We can. We can, and we probably will be put in a situation where we're forced to long before the option to shift course evades us.
yeah, but I think a lot of the current economic dogma and theories are going to have to die in the process.
Yeah, they should have. Don't get me started on Keynes. Anyway, um,
They should have died like
but I mean,
60.
America's just our economy and the way it's structured has just benefited from boom bust, but we need the bust, and no one likes it, but it needs to happen, and then when it does, everything can be better again. right? And so it's just let the problem is that every time we try to push the bust a little further out and prevent it from happening more readily, and over time, those booms and busts should happen more frequently, not less frequently. And so we're bucking the trend, and we'll pay a price for that, but eventually, hopefully, we'll accept that that's just the way our economy operates most efficiently, and we'll be more embracing of the bust part.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? I
It
mean,
goes against human nature
bad
to
debt
embrace the
has
bust,
to,
but it needs to happen.
yeah, bad debt and inefficient, allocation of capital needs to be cleared out every once in a while,
Yep.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's not that complicated. Yeah, it's painful, and I understand that's why people don't want to do it, but it's better than waiting until,
And it opens up economic opportunity for the next generation. If it weren't for the bust of the 30s, the late 20s into the 30s, boomers never would have had you know, the economic conditions under which they prospered, right? And they tried to prevent the bust a little more, but there were a few opportunities, for the generation following them, and then fewer opportunities for the generation following that, and then even fewer opportunities for millennials and then Gen Z, and we need a good bust cycle in order to reopen those avenues of economic participation. And if we can, we'll probably see things like improved birth rate and sustainable fiscal policy and stuff like that, because we'll be clawing out of the hole instead of trying to climb a hill that's constantly sloping back towards us.
I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
there's a lot of houses that sit mostly empty, and that's something that we've been told. I don't think it's a secret that we're somewhat well off. We at least are well off enough to hire someone to clean our house, and they always mention how like fully utilized our home has been, and that's just contrasted to like how fucking empty all these homes are. Like people are just owning more space than they need, and those people need to get flushed out so that
So
big family, the next generation who wants to build a family can fill that spot. If you're a empty nester, you don't need 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
how long would a
No,
healthy bust take to resolve after so long of a delay? Double, triple, faster? The longer you push them out, the more violent they become, right? So they just happen even faster. That doesn't mean the recovery is necessarily as fast, but the bust part happens very quickly. It's the path to recovery can be pretty drawn out, but theoretically over time, as the speed of information picks up and markets become substantially more and more liquid, right? They don't become less liquid. Then yeah, you should have uh, more frequent busts, but much faster recoveries. Theoretically.
well, yeah, that once again though, that depends on like a fast recovery depends on there being an injection of capital into the economy. Otherwise, you get a low
I
drawn
don't
out.
like. I mean, no, I don't think so. I think it's mostly psychological.
Well, if we go back to the Great Depression, right before the Fed really was a thing, like that was drawn out because there was no way for the Fed to enact any sort of policies that could bring money into the system quickly, right? So what ended up needing to happen was a New Deal that allowed the government to spend money on hiring people to do stuff like build roads and dams and shit.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that it's not psychological, right? I mean, the private equity markets were not willing to lend, and so the government came in and solved that psychological barrier by being the spender, the creator of cash, right?
Well, that reintroduced
But there's nothing to say
Yeah.
that there's no reason why once we bottom that people can't just jump back in, right? It's psychological.
I'm not talking about prices of things. I'm talking about like gross domestic product
Yeah, but that's based on people's willingness to lend credit, to extend credit, right?
Yeah,
well, is it
a
the construction of
frequently missed part of the Great Depression is everyone kind of thinks that the market just went up and then failed, and then we were just down here for 10 years. That's not really what happened. What happened is the market went up and it failed, and then it went up again and then failed again, and then went up again and failed again. And after about the fourth time of everyone losing absolutely everything, no one wanted to invest in anything ever again. And yeah, and that's where, yeah, I mean, the government started to facilitate growth via, policy spending, right, with FDR
and,
and the New Deal.
but every time that there was a failure, capital was destroyed,
Yes.
right? So access to capital got harder and harder, not just because people lost confidence and risk went up, but it was also because there was just less dollars for investors to go and dump into things that may have been highly promising. They just couldn't afford to.
I mean, no, I mean, when you think about it, like from a bank's perspective, there's nothing that stops a bank from lending as much as they want, right? I mean, the only thing is leverage and reserves, right? But there's nothing that says, okay, you can only lend out this much, and you have to keep this much reserves. I mean, right now there's no reserve limit. The Fed just wants quote unquote ample reserves, and they are trying to let the banks figure out what that is, right? For them. But there's nothing to say like if everything crumbles and their reserves go to 80 or 90%, there's nothing to stop them from just relevering, right? Except for their psychological aversion to risk.
I guess I think that there is a way to, enact an economic recovery from a bust cycle, and to do so sustainably without increasing the frequency of these boom bust cycles, as Girk was, Girk implies that, that comes from a infinitely growing money supply, right? If there is a responsible way to enact an economic recovery that may be slower than people like, and the stock market probably, as soon as any sort of recovery plan is enacted, it'll probably recover quickly. But in terms of economic recovery, it'll be a little more protracted, right?
Yeah, it'll take a while if it's a big bust, right? But I mean, that was the point, right? Don't let the bubble get too big. Let it bust frequently, and it'll reinflate. And we'll be in this. The equilibrium is in the cycle. It's not, instead of trying to keep it all at one level, let it cycle.
Yeah, it's like the tightness of a spring, right? Like it's really that's what it
Yeah,
comes
and
down
for
to.
the last 15 years, we've said, okay, no more cycles.
Just just
We're just
fucking
going to try to keep it flat and up.
If it's any consolation, I posted a chart earlier this week. Financial advisors in the US currently have no idea what part of the cycle we're in.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But we're definitely in a cycle.
I guess.
A cycle of confusion.
Yeah.
I mean,
They seem to be pretty split on their opinions. Like 30, like everybody's like 33% early, late, or early, mid, or late stage. Which
Yeah,
I think
I
is
mean,
it's
hysterical.
either 1995 or 1999. Take your pick.
I'm gonna party like it's 1999.
Everybody is.
Reminds me of GME. Yeah, it's a constant flushing out of wealth, right? And something that happened during the Great Depression where bank reserves got obliterated, right? And it's definitely something we can see happen again if especially if we continue the trend that we're kind of on, which is where we had a bust but it was insufficient. And we're trying to prevent that from, largely, the government, well, the Treasury at least, is interested in preventing another bust cycle, at least for the time being. But in doing so, we're also massively raising the risk of of another economic downturn, because now there's like no RRP left. Bank reserves are still insufficient for Basel protections, right? And we only have and if we keep issuing, like JFresh said, like 2.1 trillion in debt, right, per annum, those bank reserves aren't going to last very long. They're only 3.6 trillion, and then another 6 trillion in money markets. So we start wiping out those reserves. Say we start a recovery, we invest heavily into it, and it fails. That's where you end up in kind of a depression, right? But I think we're still very far from that at this point.
Yeah, we got some time.
Yeah, but we are trying to make that happen. I don't know why, but I don't know. Maybe rising inflation will see the Fed tighten up a bit more, and we can get another bear market out of this.
Well, we got to get the Bank of Japan.
And the Fed tighten, what are they going to do, right? I mean, tightening now is just going to push the deficits even higher. We're kind of hitting that point where,
I mean, at some point the Fed has to fight the Treasury or give up, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think the Fed is in the process of giving up.
I think the Fed has just done nothing. But I mean, like they still, at some point they're gonna be forced to maintain their dual mandate, right? Because if inflation picks up substantially again, there's gonna be a ton of political pressure to defeat inflation, right? At which point, they're gonna get JPOW before Congress, and they're gonna be like, "Why aren't rates up?" They're gonna completely
He's going to
flip
point
the
to him
script.
saying for 3 years now that the fiscal position is unsustainable,
Yeah,
and they're going to fight. I
I
mean,
can't.
I just don't think that the Fed can even actually solve it at this point. I mean, they could, right? It's like a Volcker thing, because if they go from like 5.5 to 7,
Well,
right?
they're somehow ending up in the same trap that Volcker did, right? Which is embarrassing, given that we have a historic example of what happens when you
Yeah,
don't
given that
sufficiently
they
raise rates.
assured us that they weren't going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
mind-boggling.
I mean,
yeah,
I
I think ultimately,
guess if they got inflation to a manageable level and then just nothing bad happened while every other country slipped into a recession, that we could just kind of pull through and get that soft landing. But I think that was obviously like a big fallacy. Like that was never a realistic scenario. And all
yeah,
we needed was for some fucking Houthi rebels to get a hold of some 1980s Iranian ship missiles, and boom, there's your supply shock all
Yeah,
over again. And then everything the Fed did goes right out the window. And we're
yeah.
seeing that now, right? Like, were you here earlier? The Cleveland Fed forecast for CPI next month is 0.42 month over month. So that's like an annualized rate of 5% inflation.
That's about right.
Yeah, so it's coming back. It's hot. It's burning hot. And I mean, the Fed hasn't taken their ability to raise rates off the table yet, which was maybe the only smart thing they did.
Yeah.
But if they
wait,
do raise rates, all of this is gone. Well, the whole bubble
Yeah,
is
but
gonna fucking.
they're still all going on, blabbing their mouths saying that they expect rate cuts later this year.
That's because they're still blabbing about inflation coming down, but it's clearly not, right? I mean,
That's what I mean. They're kind of just like whiffing it pretty bad.
yeah. Well, I mean, the Fed is always like late to the narrative somehow, even though they have the data before everyone else.
Yeah.
So we'll get our next inflation reports, and then they'll update the dot plot, and it'll be super fucking hawkish, and then they'll be like, yeah, so guess we got to do this again because inflation's not solved, right? But it'll be
When
like
I
6
nerded
months
out,
from now.
remember when I nerded out? I think it was the end of 2020. 2022 or the beginning of 2023, where I was talking about like controls,
Yeah.
like engineering controls, and that I questioned the Fed's ability to orchestrate any sort of stable outcome based on the delay in which they have to operate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that play out, right? They're just not able to tighten up on this quick enough.
I mean, this all
It's
ultimately comes from a failure to induce pain in financial markets when given the opportunity, right? The
yeah,
attempt at reducing the pain just creates more of it.
right.
Right.
There's only two, right? If they increase the pain, they're going to cause something to break,
Yeah, which is but that's
and then they
I
can't.
I think the goal of the Fed should be to break something as fast as possible.
Well, I think you're probably preaching to the choir, but my point is that if their goal is to try to create a soft landing, I think it's fundamentally not possible. I don't think it's a stable outcome.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at all the other quote unquote soft landings historically, right? They've all shared the exact same commonalities, right? They're all a Fed that is focused on labor and not price stability, right? And they're able to accelerate labor markets and sustain the economy for a bit longer, and then you get a hard landing. So no matter what, all soft landings end in a hard landing. So why not just skip that step? It doesn't give us, like, why are we trying to create a soft landing when the hard landing is the goal? If you have a blunt instrument, then take blunt action, right?
Well, yeah, it's the difficulty is with the dual mandate, right? Like you want to break something, but you don't want to because then you'd be failing at half of your dual mandate. And much
The
like other,
problem with the dual mandate is it's bullshit. It's based on bullshit,
Yeah.
and it's always going to fail. Like this idea that there's some number of maximum employment and you can measure it and you can use that to say anything about the economy is I think if we've learned nothing from the last 5 years, it's all horseshit, right? I mean, all these people are arguing about, you know, the linearity of beverage curves and the oh God, whatever it's called, the Phillips curve,
Yeah.
right? But all it's really showing is that for any given situation, it's just noise, right? The slopes are different, the curves are different, and you're trying to assign constants to things that are very dynamic and might not even really exist in the way that you have like formalized them. And so I think that any attempt to try to quote unquote maximize employment, whatever the fuck that means, is just going to create more problems.
There was like something we talked about. I don't know if it was on the stream or privately, but we were kind of discussing the idea that like we're seeing like a lot of bulls are like, oh, we're seeing less bankruptcies, right? But in reality, I think we're just seeing less there are less businesses to go bankrupt, right? And then employment is kind of like the other side of that coin, right? Is like we have maximum employment, but we don't have enough employees. So is it really maximum employment, or is there just a smaller labor force, right? And so I don't think the Fed's achieved either goal, really. I think we just have high or low unemployment or high employment because there's just simply less workers, right? It's not due to any action by the Fed though. The Fed hasn't created more jobs.
I disagree. I think the Fed whiffing on monetary tightness here in the last 3 months, 3 or 4 months, has dramatically accelerated retirement rates, which is just going to make the problem worse.
Okay, all
So I
right.
disagree. I think they have materially made the problem worse.
I can kind of get on board with that. So you're saying that by raising rates, they forced more people into retirement.
Didn't
Thus,
force them in; they just allowed them to retire sooner
okay. So, but
because
thus
they're
defeating their goal of, or well, at least diminishing the total labor pool.
yeah. I mean, we had like 3 million excess retirements last year, something like that. So insane.
Yeah,
Excess retirements.
yeah, it was nuts.
That's like pretty much every single immigrant, illegal or legal, into this country last year will just like help us break even with that. You know, it's like it's such an insane number. So labor is going to get tight, even tighter. Prices are going to go up. Supply chains are we're going back up. I don't see how they're going to avoid that.
I mean, if that's accurate, right? And I kind of agree that it is, but then the only outcome should be that the economy overheats and we have to destroy a significant portion of GDP in order to cool it down. That's not great.
Yeah.
Like we'd need to we're going to have to force the labor market down to the level of available labor, and that's going to massively disrupt our economy.
Well, here's the thing that's so frustrating, right? We don't have enough workers to handle the increased demand that all of the spending is dragging up. But if we just decrease the spending and decrease the overall GDP, right? I mean, it sounds really scary to people whose livelihoods depend on GDP always going up. But for the workers, they're still fully employed. Most of them don't have investments that are sensitive to GDP. Who cares? It's not bad for them. Who is it bad for? It's bad for the people who need need number to only go up. And if the stock market, if we could decouple the psychology of the stock market from the people who command capital elsewhere, I don't think I think if we cut the S&P in half, I don't think it would matter. I don't think it should matter, right? I mean, the economy would still be fine. It's just going to piss off a bunch of people and scare a bunch of people who are levered to the tits in the S&P.
Yeah, which I mean is a lot of people that just retired. So there's another question, right? If we substantially uh, reduce the value of risk assets, how many people are going to come back into the labor market or be forced back into the labor market?
Actually might be a very bullish argument or a bullish thesis to go long Walmart, because they're going to have to build more Walmarts to give all these people greeter jobs.
No shit. So you just walk into a Walmart and it's nothing but greeters? Like no products?
There's a greeter at every aisle. Ooh.
What if they just don't sell
Thank
products
you
and
for
they
coming
just
to the
sell
laundry aisle?
greeting?
Ooh. That's like a church, though.
Like
Ooh,
a service.
Walmart. Greeting as a service.
Greeting as
GAAS.
a service.
Greeting as a service. Ooh.
Imagine having to go back to work, but also then at a Walmart.
Wait. But the greeters at every aisle, the thing is like, you ask them where can I find toilet paper, right? And they don't respond. What they do is they type it into a rabbit, and the rabbit tells you where to find the toilet paper in the aisle.
So they're just a human carrier of a rabbit device.
This is no. This is human in the loop. This is good. This is how you keep humans in the loop when AI starts taking
because
over.
the rabbit can't walk around.
Well, it can, but
well, it can. I mean, it's like
one day it will be able to.
Yeah. All right.
It's like, ooh. So this is like, I think like the cap. We've hit generic evangelicals and Mormons. Let's hit the Catholics. The Catholics might have figured it out. The whole idea that like only the priests can talk to God, and that like,
oh shit! So we're gonna have a class of society that's allowed to speak to AI.
Yeah,
like a separate class.
That is not allowed.
Oh,
that is certified.
Oh shit!
To speak to AI,
like
it's very dangerous.
Like professional prompt engineers.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah, you can't just have
properly. I mean, if you're not careful, you'll go up to that aisle and ask the rabbit where the toilet paper is, and it'll, something will just come and cut your arms off or something.
Yeah.
You have to prompt it carefully, and you need certification.
This is a really good way to keep the AI narrative going by instilling fear in the general population. I like it.
Yeah, you don't want to invoke the wrath of AI unto you.
Yeah, we should really talk more about the godlike and properties of AI and elevate it to the status of a deity so that we fear it. Because it is all knowing and all powerful.
So
oh my god, is AI just a religion?
How are you guys still talking? We like to hear ourselves talk.
Yeah,
that's
so much.
Yes, AI is a religion.
Interesting.
In that we are worshiping something that doesn't exist, but is all powerful.
Yeah.
I think that touches just about every other religion too. We offended everyone.
No. There's still people around. Mikey said, "I can't decide on Sundays whether to full port spy pets or hang myself."
Jesus.
Maybe we need to be more lighthearted. I feel like we joke our way through the bearishness really well, but maybe we're not doing a good enough job.
Yeah.
It does exist, you just don't understand it? Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what people say about God.
Yeah, that's what they said about the sun.
It's a religion. Oh my god. Sam Altman is the Pope.
What do we call an AI Pope?
Sam Altman.
No, but like we can't just call him the AI Pope. We have to call him like.
Oh. Well, I already took Pontiff, so you can't have that.
We could call him like a Cardinal.
That's fucking terrible.
Or we could just say something nerdy like Pope.ai.
Pope.f.
Pope.ai.f/e or e/ACC.
That way we can tithe efficiently to their wallet, right?
Bye, Pope. Oh god. Pope.ai.
Kirk's gonna have so much fun on Twitter tonight.
Wait, hold on. Pope.ai has his own crypto token. So he has his own currency, and you have to use that currency to engage in the world of AI. Is this like a tithing mechanism where you
That's what I just said.
Buy a certain amount of did you?
Yeah. You list the Pope of AI by their wallet, that way you can efficiently tithe via the crypto, and then the blockchain holds your salvation.
A Worldcoin. No man comes to the Father except through Worldcoin. Yeah. I like it.
I wonder how bullish people will be on AI if it stops making them money.
AI doesn't make money, so very bullish.
Shit.
Oh, man. We're going to be talking about AI.
Thanks,
and how terrible it is for at least another year.
Yep, probably. Maybe longer.
It's never gonna end.
My ultimate fear is that we just implement AI everywhere and life sucks even more than it does now. Cause it's so fucking stupid. Right? And I've just come to accept 30 years into this that you can't fix stupidity in the general population. And then that's going to be replaced with AI stupidity, and I just won't. I won't accept it.
Then you can't even make fun of it because it's just
Yeah,
it's
it's
computer.
unfeeling.
There's nobody to make fun of.
You can't shame AI.
There's no catharsis. There's no more. They're gonna take away catharsis.
Bastards.
God damn.
First they came for our dopamine, then they came for our catharsis.
Training the general public not to think is not a good idea. No, it's the best idea.
They already don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've already dumbed ourselves down enough to be infinitely controlled.
Gilgamesh says Sora is actually scary. It is not.
Well,
Why are you afraid?
It is
why are you
not,
afraid
no.
of 90-second videos?
90-second videos that are so there's actually some great
It's just a compilation of all the other videos that have ever been made put into a new video.
Okay, so here's what's occurring, right? And this is actually kind of interesting because I think the narrative is that AI is going to destroy artists and art, and maybe to some degree. I mean, to some degree that might happen, sure, because people will just give up trying to make mediocre art. I think it will destroy mediocre art for sure. But we've already kind of destroyed mediocre art, right? You can go to you can't go to a Bed Bath & Beyond anymore, but you could go to like a Target, and you can buy, the Muzak equivalent of art, right? And nobody can make money doing that anymore. It's all just robot painting machines that make this. It did turn me into an artist. I said it was going to eliminate mediocre art.
Yeah, exactly.
Jin. But I think what's interesting with Sora, and it was something that clicked for me, is people were doing analysis on some of the videos, and they were able to determine that a lot of the art is coming from Getty Images. So Getty is taking basically all their stock stuff that they're all sitting on that they want to sell to people to utilize in various things like McKinsey reports and stuff like that. And they likely licensed it to OpenAI to take these videos, and you can train your model on these videos, and then you can splice these things together. And it was really interesting because someone was doing an observation of Sora where it was basically blending together I think it was it wasn't a lizard. What are those things? They're like
Charmander?
No, the chameleon. So it was a chameleon that then blended its way into like some bird with a really big crown, really flowery crown, looked like a peacock on its head or whatever. But you could kind of see how the movie starts as just the chameleon and then slowly blends its way to just the bird, and you could see like the transition in between, and that's kind of to me that was a great way to show kind of what is actually occurring in these things because it's an interpolation, right? It's a really interesting and cool and unique interpolation, and I think the fact that it looks so sort of surreal to us and doesn't just immediately come off as very unhuman-like, I think says something about some of the wiring in our brain. But at the end of the day, all it is it's just an interpolation of various data sets to generate something that is some blended version of those things. And so I don't know why you would need to be scared of it. It's just plagiarizing and collaging.
Yeah, there's what there was like a conversation.
There's
a long time ago.
There's no rate of progress. Okay,
something similar, like
there's
mathematically. Or go ahead. Sorry.
There's no rate of progress for text to video technology, right? I mean, the only thing that changed was that they added in just a small gradient descent along the time axis as well, right? So they have a gradient descent algorithm with these diffusion methods. You start from noise and you descend towards something, right, based on the input weights, right? You descend towards something, right? And then you can also then take that picture that you generate and slowly descend in time as well to, you know, go forward in time. But it's the same exact thing, just extended to another axis. And so you go from a picture to a movie. There's no real, you know, dramatic expansion in the technology. It's simple. It's still just scale, right? And that's what all OpenAI has done from the beginning. Is they took something that already existed, and they came with the philosophy that if we scale it, it will get better. And there will be, and this is important, there will be things that emerge. There will be emergent properties from the scale. And all they have really shown up to this point is that those emergent properties have not happened. And they're already getting to the point where they simply just cannot find the money to scale anymore. And so in my opinion, at this point, OpenAI is a failed experiment, because the hypothesis was if we scale it, we will get emergent properties, and we didn't. And they continue to push it, and they continue to not create emergent properties. And at some point, we're going to just have to say, there's not enough money to take this experiment any further, and we're going to have to figure out a way to monetize what you have. And I don't really know what the monetization is for the world's most expensive collage plagiarism parrot.
Here's an analogy I think Dork will like, and this was like a conversation a long time ago. I think there's like 82 and a half like septillion or sextillion possible like 10 note melodies, right? That can be created. And there's like 230 million published songs, right? All open AI, like all generative AI can do is take those 250 million songs and kind of take pieces of each one and put together something that is based off of those published works, right? But it comes nowhere closer to cracking like the 82.5 sextillion 10-note melodies, right? So you just get all of this over again, slightly different, but it'll never create anything original that hasn't already been fed to it before.
Yeah, and for those things to occur, you've got to have better models, right? I mean, you can't just brute force it. And the problem is we don't know what those models are. So everybody's investing in, you know, everybody is investing in the thesis of emergent properties with scale. It's not happening. And nobody knows how to create these properties that they were after all along. So we're kind of back to square one, right? With less money and, you know, more waste.
How did this stream become the plot of a Frank Herbert novel?
Yeah. So, and then, you know, yes, there was the Pentagon scare, and deep fakes and all of that. But I think, you know, the same way with the internet, right? Where we were told as children, don't believe everything you read on the internet. The internet is not reliable. And then over time, we internalized that, and we built systems that allowed us to create reliable sources on the internet, right? We have, you know, very trusted databases and things that have been developed to try to counteract this. And I think everybody kind of knows, okay, you read something somewhere, where did it come from? Do I trust that source? If it doesn't smell right, you go and you try to find other places that say the same thing.
No,
To build
nobody knows that. What are you talking? Have you
Okay,
lived in this country?
I think people kind of know that.
I think there's
People who are
10% of
people who are people. Okay, if people are the people who are getting fooled by the internet, I mean, the AI is not really going to move the needle on that. They've already been completely fooled, right? I'm talking about the people who were able to adapt to changing information, right? So what do you do now if you see, you know, some porn video of Britney Spears or something? I don't know. The first thing, hopefully, you're going to say is this a deep fake, right? And then you're going to go and look around. And
Wait, hold on. Pre or post not clarity?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how high in demand she would be at this point. I just picked someone. I don't know. I saw a weird knife video of her recently, or she's been doing a lot of dancing.
Yeah,
She was smoking in one. I was worried for her hair. Um, but I mean, the point being that we've always had a credibility issue with data. This is not new. And yeah, sure, AI is a new, avenue for that to proliferate, but it's something that we can just naturally resist by just being skeptical. And I'm sure we'll be able to create ways to, get around that, which are going to look a lot like the ways we do already, which is just have trusted sources that curate.
AI replaces junior devs. You'd end up with no intermediate devs to grow into senior devs that actually know what they're doing. Here's a crazy thought. Learning to talk to computers probably shouldn't still be a job.
Here's another crazy thought. We don't need all these fucking apps.
Yeah. How many of them actually get
Maybe
used?
just do less of it. We just stop.
Stop making shit.
How many more stupid iPhone games do we need? Like
All of them.
one thing that actually blows my mind about like Nintendo, for example, because we have a Nintendo Switch in our house, and the Nintendo Switch marketplace is a fucking shit show of just crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot understand why somebody like Nintendo, who has such a high reputation for creating fun games, would just allow crap to just crowd out their market. Like, I couldn't find any actual like big name dev games recently. I was looking through and it's just crap. It's just garbage after garbage, like $2 games that are some games that are called like hentai. Like there's no quality control at all on the Nintendo store. And you know what? We probably don't need any of those people to code any of that.
That was with regards to AI getting rid of mediocre artists. No mediocre artists, no advanced artists. Well, I mean, yeah, but that's what AI is going to perpetuate, is a system of mediocrity where Disney makes one movie based off the 4 movies before it, except now they can do it cheaper, right? So there's no longer a financial barrier to them releasing shitty sequels of movies over and over and over and over again. Now they could just have AI take all the previously released IP, restructure it, new IP, right? And they just keep doing that forever. It's amazing. The world's going to be so much better.
The death of individual creativity. I love it.
Yeah. Everyone's James Patterson.
Oof. What a deep dig on James Patterson. Wow.
That was nice.
You know how everybody loves the Marvel franchise now? How much more people have loved it over time as they keep crapping more and more of it out?
Oh,
Now just
yeah.
take that dynamic and make it all art of all genres and types everywhere. And then the AIs are going to overrun the internet with AI content, which they will then relearn.
I'm going to start advertising my stream as real human content now. Get ahead of the curve.
And you could put your WorldCoin address.
Yeah, I'll put my WorldCoin address in the banner. This is the best, yeah, and just like run a blockchain thing every time I start the stream up that verifies that I'm a real person, and then it'll be like hipsters making things we already had, but with like nicer handles all over again, except people will be seeking out real human generated content rather than. This is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna make so much money.
I love it.
All we need to do is just put humans together doing things. Like people are going to want to start watching people start fires, just eating.
That's already a thing. It's called Alone. It's a show.
People eat it, yeah.
But those people aren't officially blockchain verified people.
That's true. It could all. They could have been. That all could have been AI generated.
Yeah, you don't know. Mukbang.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they had like that old school AI generated Will Smith eating spaghetti, and then Will Smith made an actual video eating spaghetti, but then everybody just used it as a meme and said, "Look how great AI is getting." By comparing the AI video to real Will Smith eating a video. The only piece missing is that Will Smith did not publish his Worldcoin address in that video.
So how do we know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know it's Will Smith, or if it's not
Will
Will
Smith,
Smith, or if
Will
it's
Smith,
AI
Will
Will
Smith needs to
Smith.
start. Okay, maybe this is when the AI bubble pops. When Worldcoin has a Super Bowl advertisement starring Will Smith.
Oh shit.
That's the top.
Will
Oh,
Smith washing Jesus's feet.
Ooh, that's the bottom.
oh God.
Ooh, I just got another ad. God, Google is so screwed.
Yeah. I should really be getting paid for these.
You really should.
Huh. We still have the same number of people. I don't know. What are we doing wrong?
It's all AI.
Let's talk about heat diffusion off the surface of your pool during the Texas winter. What's the delta?
Oh yeah. Well, it's actually pretty substantial, but with the pool, so just in the same way that your body produces sweat
Mm-hmm.
and evaporates the sweat to
Yeah,
remove most of the heat, especially when things get hot.
pretty
The
equally
pool's
from
the same
across the
way. It's
entire
not,
surface, right?
yeah, but it's not really the diffusion of heat per se, as it is the diffusion of water molecules that are carrying the heat away, right? So it is
Mm,
still an evaporative. So it's more of a mass transfer effect, if anything, than a heat transfer effect, which is
Well, it's
interesting.
more.
kind of interesting.
Well,
It's
doesn't
more
that depend on
functional.
the ambient temperature of the air
It
surrounding the
does.
pool?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
How
if
do you
you're
account for
so
the
so
turd
actually
floating in the pool?
in the winter, my pool actually loses more water faster because of the lower humidity. It doesn't get super cold in the winter. It's still like 40 to 60 degrees during the day, but the humidity's so low that the mass transfer is higher, and that also cools the pool off. In the
Oh,
summer,
right.
there's not much because it's so humid.
So
So
what
the
if you
lower
were to
humidity.
create an entire layer of feces? So instead of the one turd that's
No,
perpetually
no, 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 no,
floating
no. Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
pool,
yeah. But
if you create a
that
blanket of turds on the surface of the pool, won't that trap the heat in the pool and
that is
thus
yeah. So this is a thing. Although it's not, they don't use poop. That's not an ideal thing to use.
why it's fatty and
They
dense?
well, they can just use soap, right? So they use surfactants that create a barrier on the surface that can then reduce the rate of evaporation. But obviously, those barriers aren't very thick and not super robust, but they do move the needle.
Interesting.
Another interesting thing, if your pool gets too hot, most people think about pools being too cold, but actually in Texas in the summer, pools can actually be uh, uncomfortably warm, like a soup that's a little too hot.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
just create
super
a
refreshing.
radiator though?
Well,
Like put a
so you
radiator on
can't
your pool pump?
so you can't really do that. You need a condenser, and you can buy those. Yeah. So yes, um, if you combine the radiator with a condenser, you can or basically a refrigerator, right? You can refrigerate your pool. The other thing you can do, which is a little cheaper and maybe a little bit more clever, is you can have a timing system that mists your water over the surface of the pool at night, which enhances the heat transfer into the mist, which then recollects in the pool. And then during the day, you keep that off, which lowers the rate of heat entering the pool. And so you can utilize the temperature differential between day and night to try to lower the average temperature of your pool.
So you can't just put copper fins on all the plumbing.
No,
Damn.
all that will actually just make it hotter, right? It
Well,
will
you put
just
the
help
copper
this
fins in the
heat in
shade.
faster.
You shade
Uh,
the copper fins.
maybe, right? Yeah, no.
No, all
Because
right.
the pool is still going to be cooler than the outside, right? So it'll be like because the pool is the average temperature between day and night usually, right? So if nighttime's like 70 degrees and daytime's 105, right? Your pool will be around 85, 88.
All right, let's
And
bring
so,
this
yeah,
back to E equals MC squared.
does it really apply? Doesn't
Damn.
matter here.
All right. No energy mass transfer.
Well, no conversion of mass to energy, right? We're not really breaking bonds.
Can we sublimate your pool?
If it was filled with CO2, maybe.
I mean, or if it was really, really, really cold, and then all of a sudden it got really, really, really hot.
Yeah, if you have,
but how do we do
that's
that
interesting.
reasonably?
How can you make use of that giant mass of warm water in heating your home? Could we save Texans' lives in the next power outage by having a hot pool? What if you pumped that hot water through your home before pumping it back through the pool?
Well, the hot pool only happens in hot times.
Well, if you're heating your pool in the winter, like
Well, I mean,
J-Fresh.
in the winter, I mean, it'll keep you from freezing, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the pool. So the pool will it'll usually be warm. So if you have like a cold front move in, the pool will still be like 60 degrees.
My pool's in a
Even though it's
greenhouse
30
and full
degrees.
of seawater, and it's very
Oh,
humid.
how is their shrimp? How are the
I
shrimps doing?
haven't grown any. Although there are some things living in the pool now.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what they are, but they're alive when they move.
Wait, Gert, can you install
probably
like a
frogs.
waterproof camera in your pool so we could like just look inside it, like you just overlay that on the stream somewhere?
Maybe. I don't have internet at that house because I don't live there.
We'll just use SpaceX.
Oh shit. Well, I mean, I would just
Yep.
get internet service that was good. I wouldn't use SpaceX. I'm not gonna buy internet service that's at risk of, Russian EMP interference.
You mean Houthi rebels shooting anti-satellite missiles
Yeah,
at space?
yeah.
How's your shrimp distribution certification going?
But I don't have one.
Oh,
Ouch.
Is Kurt gonna be a shit distributor?
yeah. I mean, if you don't get this, if you don't get into the shrimp supply chain, what are you even doing?
Fuck you guys.
Yeah,
It's 3:30. Let's end this.
Yeah.
we're
All right. Flat.
Ah, you bastard. You can't. All right, fine. Wait, didn't you get flat last time?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, Dork got flat.
All right. You can have it again, I guess. I never get flat.
Actually, I don't want flat. But I do just want a straight line. I want a straight line up to 5150 from here.
Straight line to 5150
Yeah.
from spot
Yeah.
by Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Awesome.
That's the worst prediction you've ever done. All
Just
right.
you wait till you hear mine.
You're just gonna say flat, are you?
No. I wish. I actually have a prediction, and it's awful, and I hate it, but I might be right. All right. So open at
Wait, hold on. What are you? Oh, am I behind on the stream?
probably
No.
because you've had so
What are you
many ads.
drawing?
You're now way behind.
What are you drawing?
He's probably drawing
this-
hit.
Oh.
All right. You want mine, Gert?
No, sure.
All right. Open at 5110.
Oh Jesus. Hold on.
How did you erase
5110.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Close the day at 50.55 or 50.50, let's just say. Okay. And just open flat, and then by 12:30, 5100. Flat into end of day.
A little
Next,
more lettuce.
yeah, a little more. Okay, and then down to 5,000 by wait, hold on. Yeah, so down to 5,000 end of day Wednesday.
Okay.
Then 50-50 by 12:30 Thursday. 5,000 end of day Thursday. And then 5110 close on Friday.
This is the best prediction you've ever done.
Violently flat.
I don't even know how to compete with that. Okay, I'm gonna say we're gonna open 50.75.
I guess Dork is taking it into heart that all dips above gamma, neutral or bullish.
Fuck you guys. Just here. Let's just do this.
You think it's over?
Yeah, I'm done
The
with
end
this
is
shit.
nigh. No, it's okay. He gets 2 guesses, so he can always win.
No, I don't. I'm just getting one. You weren't here. I had to make your guess for you. Don't be mad that it was better than your actual guess. All right, that's petty, and you're better than that. Yeah, I'm done with this shit. Fuck this. The AI narrative's bullshit. The market's run its course. Friday morning was the top.
All right, well, all-time high by Monday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't go down until Girk is
can't go down until Girk's bullish.
Just you give up. You just I think we've all already kind of emotionally given up.
I thought I had no emotion before, but now it's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel nothing. Like I see the price going up and I see 0 DTs coming in and I'm just like, guess it's time to buy calls again. But the money I make off them doesn't feel good. There's no joy in it. It's just money. It's just money that I'm going to use to buy more puts.
I mean, even like professional traders have been complaining about how easy it is, and it's like it's too easy. It seems too easy.
No, but it shouldn't be. This shouldn't happen, right? Like nobody buying calls right now deserves the money, right? Like I don't feel like I've made like a great decision or done something responsible by buying calls at market open and just holding them until the end of the day. That's not. It's robbing me of my passion for trading. Soft goods. Yeah, it leaves my goods really soft. I'll tell you that much.
All things mean revert eventually, or this time is different.
How do we go above gamma max? Why do you keep projecting trajectories that go above gamma max, JFresh? What kind of like next level troll is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that I'm not basing it off of anything.
Oh, okay.
Other than AI.
Is this because they're like all of these projections are meaningless in like 4 hours when we have more data?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to draw this now and then just write the most bullish write-up tonight that I feasibly can. I like to throw everyone for a loop.
Yeah. The AI is winning. We're losing to AI and it's not even intelligent.
I like to use this to find out who's paying attention to Pickle's picks at night. And who's just trading based on these projections.
I mean, if you look at this, we've pretty much predicted your entire range between bullish and bearish, so I don't see how it's any helpful.
So, I mean, the real strategy this week is just to sell a 51.60, 48.10 IC.
Yes, I agree.
This guy makes all the money.
I mean, that's literally what everybody's doing.
That's like 4% right there.
You just described the entire market right now.
I know. I'm well aware.
Oh man, I kind of want to change my prediction.
No.
Is that okay?
Do it. Yeah, do it right now.
All right, give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec. I'm waiting for something to finish running, and then I'm gonna change my prediction.
Oh God, you're doing.
You're basing your prediction.
Exactly
Hold on.
what
You're not allowed to base these on data.
I know exactly what you're doing, Dork. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be high. It's gonna be like 52.50, isn't it?
Ooh, actually, okay. So, okay. So by Wednesday, 5,700, and then by Friday, 39.
Don't change it. No, don't change the shit. No.
All right.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, we won't do that one. There's actually no way to do this prediction. I'll share it with you fresh.
Don't do shit code on the fly. Don't do it.
Yeah, it doesn't work, unfortunately. But I tried.
You're ridiculous.
I mean, I think the real answer here is maybe carry some out of the money debits and then just play bull calls all day.
Yeah, just wait.
Bull calls are so great. I did it on Friday, right? Like after the bullish positioning finally broke down and they fucked themselves by somehow buying too much, which I can't get over. The fact that that's a real condition that happens in markets, that bulls just buy so much that things can't go up anymore is just peak stupidity, right? But after that happened, I just bought bull calls, free money.
So it's actually, I call it the Wall Street bets wealth effect. As these idiots make more and more money, they're able to lever harder and harder into calls and bullish bets until they literally break the market maker, and then it goes down, and then they're like, "Oh man!" And then but the thing is then the hedges change, and they're able to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're just doing the thing again that we were doing back here, right? And back here, and right here, where we're so bullish that we fail.
Yeah, like you literally can't get more bullish. Like
this is the absolute max bullishness the market can sustain. And going into tomorrow morning, we're in the same position, right? VN and GN are fucking right there. And the bulls are gonna like gap up in the morning, break through the resistance. They're gonna push it to the max, and then one dipshit's gonna start selling puts, and they're gonna fuck it all up for everyone else.
Yep. Damn straight.
God, it's so like, it used to be really funny, but now it's just stupid.
Well, I have a feeling that this is what a contrived bull market looks like. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, it isn't though. Like, we went through 2021 was nothing like this. It was much healthier. Ironically.
Yeah, back in 2021, people were actually buying stock. That's the difference.
This is just a derivatives bull market.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is it's just like we're just fucking pumping on derivatives.
It's the alternatives era. We buy calls and we make them better.
Make them better, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's so awful.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with that song.
Let's see if vol increases this week and we can actually go down. Because if it doesn't, we're gonna be doing this same bullshit all the way into March OPEX.
Yep. I mean, they did some selling on Friday, because I mean, usually you'd expect something on the order of like 3% or so decline to handle the weekend.
Yeah,
it was like 5% ish, right? Decline. It's right there on your VIX thing. What does it say? Minus what? Can't read it.
Hold on.
Kitty glaucoma.
Yeah, VIX was 5.44. Cash VIX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about a 2% decline, which is pretty big.
What's interesting is that correlation between cash VIX and VIX futures is increasing again. We ended last week at negative 46%, which is 3% down from the prior week. So I think we've peaked on the vol short. But for some reason, the March contract is still priced like it expires tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of looks like, kind of like how in October we were going down and we are fighting against vol shorts, and then the vol shorts won. Now I feel like the vol is fighting against. It's sort of the opposite. Like people are going long calls and fighting against long vol. So we'll see if vol wins again. Seems like vol usually wins eventually.
If we break back through this yellow line, we've topped on the diamond top.
Ooh.
Poopy Pants' diamond top might come to life.
Well, I mean, TA is more important than anything else.
Yeah, right? Because, I mean, why else would you just nonstop buy calls?
Yeah, line go up means calls. The trend is your friend.
All right. See you guys in, 2 hours for feuds to go up?
Yeah, 2 hours till Fute's at 51.20.
Sounds good.
Noise.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, dude.
All right,
Always
I'll
a
see you
pleasure.
guys later. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye.
All right, guys. I'll be around the rest of today doing Pickles picks. So if you had any questions and I wasn't able to get to them, feel free to hit me up on the Discord. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pickles picks will be out tonight, probably around midnight, 2:00 ish, around there. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning for Market Open. Thank you so much. Later, everyone.